Chapter 865. The High Lord looked at Song-yu, who was pretending to be calm, and said, "You have connections with the Rockefeller family, right?" "What does that mean?" Song-yu was at a loss, but still nodded without hesitation, "Yes." This kind of thing definitely couldn't fool the High Lord. Lying would only make him lose his trust. Tang Zheng caused havoc with the Rockefeller family in the Atlantic Empire, and even killed their young Lord Louis. He has a blood feud with this family, and they have always been looking for an opportunity to take revenge. Song-yu nodded. He had heard about this matter, and was also very shocked at the time. In fact, Song-yu also contributed a lot to Louis being able to kidnap so many people to Sky Mountain. It was just that he didn't know Louis's true goal. Later, Louis died, and he didn't dare to connect this matter to himself, afraid that Tang Zheng would pursue this matter and deal with him. Recently, a business delegation from the Atlantic Empire has entered the capital. The Rockefeller family's people are definitely hiding among them. They will definitely target Tang Zheng for revenge. Go and contact the Rockefeller family's people and help them. The High Lord ordered. Song-yu's eyes lit up. He thought to himself, "Tang Zheng, you've made enemies everywhere. Now it's time for you to be unlucky." The Rockefeller family was a world-class behemoth, even more powerful than the other families. The other families only had influence in Huaxia, but the Rockefeller family had influence in several countries. They were on completely different levels. If the Rockefeller family didn't have such a great influence, Song-yu wouldn't have pretended to be polite to Louis and helped him. However, he was still a little worried. If he returned to the capital and was discovered by Tang Zheng, he would definitely be killed. "What are you worried about?" Seeing him hesitate, the High Lord asked in a deep voice. Song-yu's heart thumped. He knew that his hesitation made the High Lord unhappy. He hurriedly said, "High Lord, the capital is Tang Zheng's sphere of influence. If I go, I'm afraid I'll be discovered before I even see the Rockefeller family." Didn't you grow up in the capital? Don't tell me you don't even have this little bit of ability." The High Lord reprimanded in displeasure. Song-yu braced himself to face the Great Lord's wrath. However, for the sake of his own life, even if he was going against the Great Lord, he still wanted to say a few more words. "My lord, what I'm saying is, can we secretly add fuel to the fire and blow things up? Even if Tang Zheng escapes, we can make it so that he can't clean up the mess. That way, we'll be able to take advantage of the situation." Song-yu suddenly had an idea and said, "Oh, do you have an idea?" "Honorable Lord, when Tang Zheng wreaked havoc on the island nation, although ordinary people didn't know that he was the one who did it, we knew very well that the royal family of the island nation hated him to the core. Moreover, the current emperor of the island nation is Hirohito, who was captured by him. His hatred for Tang Zheng is endless. As long as we leak a bit of information, the island nation will definitely take action. When the time comes, the island nation and Rockefeller will both attack. Tang Zheng won't be able to do anything by himself. It's not impossible for him to die just like that." Song-yu's lips curled into a sinister smile as he proudly offered a plan. The Great Lord pondered. He knew more than Song-yu. The island nation situation wasn't simple. When 100 Faces Starlord activated the Mountain River Blood Sacrifice Array in the island nation, it was almost impossible without the support of the royal family of the island nation. Therefore, 100 Faces Starlord had already colluded with the royal family of the island nation. If the royal family of the island nation took action, they might be able to lure 100 Faces Starlord out. Because of the existence of Ling, the Great Lord temporarily gave up the idea of dealing with Tang Zheng personally, but this didn't prevent him from dealing with 100 Faces Starlord. 100 Faces Starlord had parted ways with Tang Zheng and disappeared without a trace. Getting rid of 100 Faces Starlord first was also something worth celebrating for the Great Lord. Of course, if Hundred Faces Star-Lord took advantage of this opportunity to kill Tang Jing and others with Rockefeller, it would be even more perfect. The Great Lord didn't have such a strong desire to kill Tang Jing before, but now he really wanted to kill him. If there was a chance, he naturally wouldn't let it go. As for the fact that Ling broke his non-phase method, he had been brooding about it. It finally made him understand that there was such a simple person in the world. However, he didn't immediately send someone to assassinate Ling. First, Tang Zhang must have sent someone to protect her. Second, he believed that time could change everything. Even if Ling was now a piece of white paper, over time, this white paper would be painted with colorful colors. At that time, she would have no way to resist non-phase method, and Tang Zheng would naturally have no support. It was the best policy to break by oneself. Your method is feasible. You just have to execute it. When the sandpiper and the clam fight, the fisherman benefits. The Great Lord agreed. Song Yu was overjoyed. Yes, Song Yu accepts the order. Since you are worried that you will be threatened when you return to the capital, I will let the Holy Maiden accompany you back to the capital. You will cooperate sincerely and do this matter well, understand? The Great Lord added. Song Yu's face stiffened, and her heart secretly said that it was not good. Li Xiaotian had been following her. He was afraid that he would reveal any clues and let her discover his secret. But the Great Lord had already made a decision, and he could not question or change it. He could only pretend to be happy and say a lot of flattery. You can withdraw. The Great Lord waved her hand and said. Several people respectfully withdrew from the dark room, and the door closed. Fair-faced flying dragon came out of the darkness and stood beside the Great Lord. Looking at the closed door, he said, Can they succeed? No. The Great Lord said without hesitation. Then why did the Great Lord send them? Fair-faced flying dragon asked curiously. I will not give Tang Jing a chance to breathe. He is too unpredictable. I used to think that he was a controllable factor, but now it seems that I really underestimated him. He has created miracles again and again, turning the impossible into possible. If we can get rid of him as soon as possible, that would be the best. The Great Lord said coldly. Fair-faced flying dragon sighed and said, If I had known earlier, I would have killed him in Emperor Qin's tomb. At that time, we did not expect that he would rise so quickly, and even become the key to everything. The Great Lord said regretfully, Although we suffered heavy losses in this trip to the 100,000 mountains, it was not completely without gain. At least, we can be sure that our main enemy from now on is Tang Jing, and not the 100-change star sovereign. The Great Lord's attitude towards Tang Jing had completely changed. He really wanted to kill him, but he knew that to kill Tang Jing, it would not be easy. Now that I am heavily injured, I cannot deal with him in a short period of time, but I cannot let him rest. Otherwise, if we give him a chance to breathe and he does something again, we will be even more passive. Do you understand? The Great Lord asked. Fair-faced flying dragon suddenly understood. I understand, but can the two of them do it? Do you want me to lend them a hand? No need, you can start cultivating in seclusion. Also, don't look down on Song Yu, that child is not as simple as he looks. Although he pretends to be docile and respectful in front of me, it still reveals many problems. He has not truly submitted to me, and 7 kills is even more loyal. But it is clear that 7 kills is not a match for him, so I will let the Saintess participate and balance Song Yu. If Song Yu heard this, he would definitely be scared to the point of running away. He would not dare to stay in Sword Pavilion, nor would he dare to have the extravagant hope of turning Sword Pavilion into his own force. The Great Lord is wise. But it is a pity that we cannot completely eliminate Tang Jing. This time, he injured the Great Lord and killed so many of our flying guillotines. He is truly hateful. Fair-faced flying dragon's eyes were filled with killing intent as he spoke hatefully. Lord Yun laughed self-deprecatingly and said, "This time, I failed miserably. That little girl shot an arrow through the left side of my chest. If it wasn't for my heart being on the right side, I'm afraid that arrow would have ended my life. As for the flying guillotines, although it is a pity, it did not harm the flying guillotine's foundation." Fair-faced flying dragon faintly sighed, "Yes, the flying guillotine's power is still there. We can still deal with them in the future." During my seclusion, Granny Lee went to the northwest. It is not very peaceful there. Elder Angler does not care about worldly affairs, so I will leave the matter of the Azure Dragon Hall to you. The Great Lord said. Yes, Great Lord. During your seclusion, your non-phase method will definitely have a breakthrough and reach the Deshang realm. Fair-faced flying dragon said. I hope so. I have already practiced the non-phase method to the 5th level, so I can say 5 words. When I practice to the 6th level and master it, I will be able to say 6 words at the same time. At that time, even if Ling Er is here, we may be able to restrain her. The Great Lord said with some expectation. It will definitely be possible. Fair-faced flying dragon nodded. Song Yu and the others went down the mountain and met the elder angler. His basket was already full of fish, but he poured all of them into the pond and let them go. Song Yu was puzzled. She whispered to Li Xiaotian, "Saintess, who is this senior? This method of fishing is very novel. Moreover, he catches the fish and then lets them go. What is the point of fishing? It is really strange." Li Xiaotian deeply looked at the elder angler's back as he walked away and said, "He is called the elder angler. As for his method of fishing, I am not clear. In this world, he is probably the only one who can do this. He comes here almost every day to fish, and when he is done, he lets them go. This cycle repeats." Song Yu clicked her tongue in wonder. She said that this senior was really a strange person. She changed the topic and asked, "Just now, I didn't dare to ask, Great Lord. Is this the Azure Dragon Hall?" He had heard of the Azure Dragon Hall before. When he was reading the sword manual in the sword pavilion, he had read a few words about it. Only then did he gradually understand that the Azure Dragon Hall, which had been unknown to outsiders, was actually the master behind the sword pavilion. Looking at Li Xiaotian's reaction, it was likely that Li Palace was the same as Sword Pavilion, under the jurisdiction of the Azure Dragon Hall. As a result, Song Yu felt even more terrified of the Azure Dragon Hall. It must be known that the Song family was very afraid of Li Palace. They wagged their tails and begged for pity in order to establish a relationship with Li Palace. Now, it seemed that Li Palace was just a puppet that floated on the surface. The Azure Dragon Hall was the most powerful. Chapter 866. In the capital, Song Yu and Li Xiaotian arrived together. Revisiting this place, Song Yu's emotions fluctuated as he sighed with emotion. He used to be an all-powerful figure here, but now he was a stray dog and had to sneak in. Li Xiaotian glanced at him from the corner of her eye and said, "Song Yu, I saw you practice in the sword pavilion and your swordsmanship has improved greatly. Congratulations." Song Yu smiled bitterly and said, "Saintess, you flatter me. How can my mediocre skills be compared to yours?" Li Xiaotian smiled charmingly and said, "This time, you will be in charge of the matters in the capital. I will only assist you. So if there is any danger, you must protect me. I have admired the successor of the Sword Pavilion for a long time." Although Song Yu knew that the other party's words were false, he couldn't help but feel a ripple in his heart. The Li Palace Saintess is indeed extraordinary. Her charm is unparalleled. I must be more careful in the future. He secretly thought. The island nation has already sent people to the capital. If we join forces with Rockefeller, then we can sit on the mountain and watch the tigers fight. Li Xiaotian said, "Your scheme is really brilliant. Saintess, you flatter me. This is all because of the wise leadership of the Honorable Lord. I dare not claim credit for it. Song Yu was very respectful, as if even if the Honorable Lord was not by his side, he would still hold him in high esteem. They did not take the usual route. They did not enter the hotel through the normal channels, but took advantage of the night to sneak in through the window. As soon as their feet touched the ground, a biting cold wind attacked them from the side, causing their cheeks to hurt. Swish! With a flash of the sword, Song Yu had a long sword in his hand and stabbed it into the darkness. Clang! With a dull sound, his long sword formed a full moon shape. It was obvious that the strength of the attack was great. Who is it? There was an angry shout in the darkness, but it was in English. We are not enemies. Song Yu also hurriedly replied in English, afraid that the situation would worsen. The lights above their heads lit up, and they could finally see each other clearly. Song Yu was shocked. It turned out that the other party was only one person, but the attack just now was so fierce that he felt a lingering fear. If they were to continue fighting, he might not even be a match for him. Who are you? Song Yu said, we know the purpose of the Rockefeller family coming to Beijing, so we're here to help you. Besides, I'm Louis's friend. You know my son? The other party asked in surprise. This person was the head of the Rockefeller family, the primogenitor of the kindred. Ah, you are Mr. Nikolai. Song Yu exclaimed. She suddenly remembered a photo of Nicholas in a news report. It was indeed the person in front of her. The ancestor's name was Nicholas Rockefeller. He stared at the two of them. His blue eyes were so cold that they seemed to hide thousands of miles of ice and snow mountains. Who are you? Nikolai asked. Song Yu hurriedly introduced himself. When Louis was in Huaxia, he and I were best friends. This humble one is Song Yu. Song Yu, I've heard of your name. You are the young master of the Song family, but the Song family is now gone. Why are you looking for me? Nikolai still had the attitude of 1,000 miles away. Song Yu's heart flashed with a trace of unnaturalness. The Song family was gone, so his status was naturally gone. The other party obviously didn't think much of him. He hurriedly adjusted his attitude and said, I know you came to Beijing to deal with Tang Zheng. He is our common enemy. I can help you. Oh, as far as I know, you don't dare to show up in Beijing. How can you help me? Nikolai sat back in the chair and motioned for the two to sit down and talk. Song Yu had already thought of a response. She said calmly, although I don't dare to show up, I am the person who knows Tang Zheng's situation the best. If you have my help, you can take fewer detours and get twice the result with half the effort. It will be easier to succeed. What do you think? Although Nikolai had already sent people to investigate Tang Zheng, he was a foreign monk after all. He was not as good as Song Yu, the local snake. Song Yu must have information that he didn't know. Since the other party was here, he must have something. Otherwise, he wouldn't have gone through so much trouble. Then I'm interested to hear it, Mr. Song, Nikolai said. Seeing that he was interested, Song Yu's spirit was shaken. She said, I know Tang Zheng's fatal weakness. He is very strong, but this person is too fickle. He has left too many romantic debts. These women are his weakness. As long as we catch any one of them, we can make him obediently submit. Nikolai frowned. It's just women. If they are gone, we can find another. Are they really that important? Song Yu chuckled. Some people claim to be infatuated. Of course, they can't just watch their women die. Nikolai recalled the scene when Tang Zheng went thousands of miles to the Atlantic Empire to rescue Fang Shishir. In his heart, he believed 70% of these words. Seeing that he tacitly agreed, Song Yu continued, he has many women around him. If we only deal with one, the success rate is too low. So, as long as we attack together, there will always be someone who will fall into our hands. Once we catch one, it will be easy. If we can catch a few more, then victory is in our hands. Li Xiaotian was expressionless. She already knew about this plan. Although she was also a woman and scoffed at this method of using women to threaten people, she had to admit that this was an effective method for Tang Jing. She had been by Tang Zheng's side for a long time and could be considered to know him very well. She knew that women were his reverse scale. Then what women does he have? Nikolai asked curiously. Yi Dingdang. Song Yu was the first to say this name, which made his heart ache. His relationship with Yi Dingdang had changed again and again. In fact, he had long had feelings for Yi Dingdang in his heart. But if he couldn't get her, he had to destroy her. He couldn't let Tang Jing take advantage of her for nothing. Fang Shishir, Lu Qingmei, Mu Hongyan, and even the famous Princess Anne. Nikolai's eyes lit up. With so many targets, the possibility of success was greatly increased. Except for Anne, I don't want to mess with the European royal family for the time being. Everyone else is fine, especially that Fang Shishir. My son's death can't be separated from her. This time I came to kill her. Nikolai hated Fang Shishir to the bone. When Fang Shishir escaped from his hands, it was the biggest insult to him. In order to wash away his shame, of course he couldn't let her go. Song Yu snapped his fingers and said proudly, "You have the final say." Oh, there is also a little one, Mu Hongyan's daughter Nana. Tang Zheng loves her very much. It will be better if we catch her. He didn't even let a child go. Nikolai drank human blood all year round and didn't have any psychological barriers. He nodded in agreement without hesitation. What do you want from helping me like this? Nikolai stared coldly at Song Yu and asked. Song Yu smiled confidently, I don't want anything. As long as Tang Jing dies, I will be satisfied. Don't worry, this time he will definitely die. Not only will he die, but the people around him will also die. Nikolai said resolutely. That's the best. This is the information of those women. You can study it more. Song Yu handed Nikolai a flash drive. I will wait for your good news. Oh, I also want to remind you that Tang Jing has a woman called Fu Yao. She is very powerful. You have to be careful of her. Humph. Nikolai snorted. He didn't put the Empyrean fairy in his eyes. The two said their goodbyes and jumped out of the window. After walking a few streets, Li Xiaotian opened her mouth. Do you think he will succeed? Song Yu was full of confidence. The Rockefeller family isn't an ordinary family. Rumor has it that they are vampires. Not only are they powerful, but they also have many werewolves under them. Every one of them is very powerful. This time even Nikolai was sent out. I don't think Tang Zheng has any way to escape from death. The corner of Li Xiaotian's mouth revealed an unfathomable smile, and he thought with disdain in his heart, if Tang Zheng was really that easy to deal with, then this time, the High Lord would not have returned empty-handed. An idiot, you actually think that you can kill Tang Jing, you think too highly of yourself. Li Xiaotian was the holy maiden of the Li Palace and the direct disciple of Granny Li. Naturally, her understanding of the Azure Dragon Hall and the High Lord far surpassed Song Yu. Granny Li had told Li Xiaotian part of the truth when everyone in the Li Palace retreated. Only then did she understand that the Li Palace and the Azure Dragon Hall had such a deep relationship. When she met the High Lord, she was even more convinced and wholeheartedly worked for the High Lord. This time, she was ordered by the High Lord to monitor Song Yu. In the end, the sword pavilion must not fall into Song Yu's hands and become his private property. Of course, the High Lord could directly kill Song Yu, but he was still very useful for the time being. The High Lord naturally wouldn't touch him. Li Xiaotian knew all of this inside information, so sometimes she looked at Song Yu as if she was looking at a dead person. At the same time, Li Xiaotian was also shocked. She had been with Tang Jing for many days, but she didn't expect him to reach this step. She often thought that if she had known earlier, the High Lord would have already made a move against Tang Jing. He wouldn't have sat and watched him grow to such an uncontrollable extent. Of course, she still believed that the revered Lord would definitely turn the tide and slap Tang Jing to death on the beach. This was because after she understood the Azure Dragon Palace Hall's strength, her reverence and confidence towards the revered Lord surged like a torrential river. Song Yu didn't notice Li Xiaotian's strange behavior and eagerly said, "Let's just sit on the mountain and watch the tigers fight. When the people of the island nation join in, the show will be even more exciting. This time, the capital will definitely be turned upside down." The undercurrents in the capital were surging. Although Tang Jing had absolute power in the capital, it was impossible for him to know everything. Naturally, he didn't know that a conspiracy against him was brewing in the dark. During this time, he had been in seclusion, digesting what he had gained in the 100,000 mountains. Qi Yu and the inner demons would occasionally quarrel, so much so that it had almost become a part of his life. He didn't stop it because he had obtained a lot of useful information from it. During this time, the school had brought people to find him once, but he still flatly refused. The school returned disappointed and completely gave up on this idea. Tang Jing really wouldn't return to Yenqing University. Chapter 867. Tang Jing continued to cultivate in seclusion, sitting cross-legged on the cold ground alone. The thick walls blocked all the noise in the capital. The imperial city was so quiet that one could hear a pin drop. Only the slow breathing of the five-clawed golden dragon could be heard occasionally. Xiao Bai squatted beside him, looking at him with bright eyes. Tang Jing held a crystal stone in his hand. The crystal stone had already lost its luster, and most of the spiritual energy had been absorbed by it. Tang Jing felt that there was enough spiritual energy in his meridians. He carefully guided it into the golden core. The golden core shone brightly, illuminating his dantian. Crack! Suddenly, with a crisp sound, the spirit stone broke into pieces and turned into powder, which flowed out from the gaps between his fingers. He took a deep breath. The air in the secret room seemed to have been sucked dry by him, and his muscles and bones made crackling sounds. Boom! A thunderous sound came from his organs. This was the effect of the resonance between the true qi and his body. The true qi surged and involuntarily accelerated in his meridians, like a torrential river. Tang Jing watched as the golden core expanded from the size of a ping-pong ball to the size of a duck egg, flowing with golden light. 6th grade golden core. No. 7th grade golden core. Tang Jing found that he had broken through 2 realms in a row. This was not only due to the powerful spiritual energy in the crystal, but also because of this trip to the 100,000 mountains. The harvest this time could be said to be very rich. Moreover, Qi Yu and the inner demons would occasionally bicker and unconsciously reveal some information, which benefited him a lot. Especially a few days ago, the two of them actually sat down and discussed Tao, talking about many things in cultivation and their understanding of cultivation. These two were super powerhouses, and their understanding of cultivation was naturally not something that ordinary people could have. After listening to them, Tang Jing was enlightened, so he was able to raise his cultivation by 2 levels with the help of the crystal. A 7th grade golden core was not far from the Yuanying realm. He was full of confidence and could not help but roar. He looked at the crystal powder on the ground and couldn't help but feel regretful. This was a good thing. The King of Sweden had only given him one, and the other was given to Tian Chanzi. He had already given it to Tian Chanzi. He still remembered the scene when Tian Chanzi saw the crystal. He was so surprised that he almost jumped up in joy. Tian Chanzi's cultivation had reached level 9 of Yuanying. He was only 1 step away from the Deshang realm. It was time for him to consolidate his cultivation. With the help of the crystal stones, his cultivation would be as stable as a rock, and there was hope for him to advance to the next level. This was indeed something that he should be happy about. Tian Chanzi told Tang Jing that even in the former cultivation world, this kind of crystal stone was extremely rare. Spirit stones were already considered good treasures for cultivation. Only some heads of famous sects had 1 or 2 crystal stones. It was said that the crystal stones were stones from the outside world. They could only be found by chance and not by searching for them. Spirit stones were not like spirit stones. Spirit stones were born by the world itself. Once the world's spiritual chi was abundant, the earth would be nourished by the spiritual chi. Some stones would gather spiritual chi, and over time, they would form spirit stones. However, now that the world's spiritual chi was exhausted, there were naturally very few spirit stones. They only found one in ordinary Balance's grave, but it had already been used up by their cultivation. However, Tian Chanzi asserted that once the tree of life completely transformed the world's spiritual chi, it would once again produce spirit stones in the future. After Tian Chanzi received the spirit stones, he eagerly went to guide and for a long time, which could be considered as returning the kindness of giving the crystal stones. This behavior made Tang Jing despise him for a long time. He said that he was greedy for money. Without the crystal stones, he almost forgot about his apprentice. The 5-clawed golden dragon stared at Tang Jing with wide eyes and said happily, "You have to work hard on your cultivation. Don't be distracted by other things. It won't be long before you can save me." Tang Jing smiled faintly, "Okay. That Empyrean fairy is too arrogant. When I regain my freedom in the future, let's see how she can be arrogant in front of me." The 5-clawed golden dragon was still brooding over the Empyrean fairy's refusal to save him. When he thought about it, his anger was still not small. Tang Jing asked curiously, "You said that you are imprisoned in this array and your strength is greatly reduced. When you regain your freedom, how powerful will you be?" The 5-clawed golden dragon smiled mysteriously, "You will naturally know when the time comes." "What are your plans after regaining your freedom?" Tang Jing had never asked this question before. Now that the 5-clawed golden dragon's freedom was getting closer and closer, he had no choice but to ask. The 5-clawed golden dragon was silent for a while and said, "The people who imprisoned me are already dead. Even the dynasty has been destroyed. It is already impossible to find the culprit. But after imprisoning me for so many years, I will not give up just like that." The 5-clawed golden dragon's anger was not small. Tang Jing was nervous and said, "Could it be that you want to find someone to take revenge?" "Of course. But aren't those people already dead?" "But the humans are still here. Could it be that you want to deal with the humans?" Tang Jing asked cautiously. The 5-clawed golden dragon looked at Tang Jing, "You want to stop me? I am also a human. You are a celestial. Moreover, you have also cultivated the dragon god arts. You are completely different from a human." The 5-clawed golden dragon retorted. "No matter what you think, I always think of myself as a human. Although I promise to let you go, but if you really insist on going against innocent humans, then I will not sit idly by." Tang Jing's tone was firm. He did not care at all about the 5-clawed golden dragon's raging eyes. The 5-clawed golden dragon's nostrils exhaled a hot breath. Tang Jing was not afraid. He raised his head and stared at the 5-clawed golden dragon. "Killing innocent people is not the style of your dragon race. If you want to deal with the culprit who imprisoned you, then I will not stop you. But if you want to deal with other innocent people, then I will not sit idly by. If you really do not change your mind, then perhaps you can only stay in this dark place forever. Impudent! You dare to threaten me." The 5-clawed golden dragon was furious. He opened his mouth and a gust of wind almost blew Tang Jing down. "I am not threatening you. I am just warning you in advance. Tang Zheng said calmly. Seeing Tang Zheng's firm attitude, the five-clawed golden dragon angrily turned his head and did not talk to him anymore. Tang Zheng could not see through his thoughts. Since he did not agree with him, he did not continue to talk. In any case, he could not go out for the time being. Xiao Bai, let's go. Tang Zheng called Xiao Bai and left the imperial city. The five-clawed golden dragon turned his head after a long time. He looked at the empty corridor and muttered to himself, he is really stubborn. But now my freedom is in his hands. If I don't agree, he will not let me go. He was not a stupid dragon. He could still judge the situation. However, he dares to threaten me. He really has guts. Well, celestials have always had guts. After Tang Zheng left the imperial city, the inner demons exclaimed loudly. You actually have a connection with a dragon. Huh, this is really interesting. Qiyu, you were also a celestial in the past, but you did not catch a dragon, right? Qiyu coldly snorted, dragons are creatures from the outer space. Do you think it is so easy to catch them? You see, didn't he just imprison a dragon? The inner demons retorted. I did not imprison it. Tang Zheng defended himself. But now, his freedom is in your hands, which is equivalent to you imprisoning him. To imprison a dragon while I'm still alive, how interesting. If I can take him under my wing and use him for my own purposes, I'll definitely be able to take him under my wing. Qiyu, this dragon is much more powerful than those monsters under your command. The inner demons did not let go of the opportunity to provoke Qiyu. Qiyu simply chose to remain silent. When Tang Zheng heard the words creatures from the outer space, he became even more interested in the dragon race. In the past, there was no one to answer his questions. Now that there was Qiyu and the inner demons, he could not miss this opportunity to ask for guidance. Qiyu, you said that the dragon race is creatures from the outer space. Which world do they come from? Tang Zheng curiously asked. The dragon race has a long history. It is said that not long after our world was created, the dragon race entered our world from another world. Since then, the dragon race has appeared from time to time. Because the dragon race is very mysterious and powerful, the people of this world worship the dragon race. Thus, the dragon race is regarded as a spiritual totem. As for which world the dragon race came from, I do not know. Tang Zheng suddenly understood. So that was how the dragon race came to be. However, even Qiyu did not know the origin of the dragon race. That could only mean that the dragon race was much more mysterious and powerful than Tang Zheng thought. Perhaps only the dragon race themselves could answer this question. Suddenly, a bright light flashed in his heart. He cultivated the dragon god's secret art and even cultivated the dragon seal. Would he know this secret in the future? He could not help but look forward to it. However, there was no progress in the dragon god's secret art for the time being. He also did not have a way to test the possibility of this idea. Young man, why do you care about this? If you take this dragon under your command, it will certainly be very beneficial to you in the future. The inner demons enticed. Oh, if I really subdue it, then my strength will be even stronger. This won't do you any good, right? Tang Zheng said meaningfully. The inner demons was suddenly startled. They seemed to realize that Tang Zheng's words were reasonable. For a moment, they were speechless. After a long time, they resentfully said, "This shows that I really care about you. I am not like Qiyu, feigning civility and secretly spying on you. Inner demons, you are talking nonsense again." How am I talking nonsense? I am clearly speaking the truth. The two of them quarreled again. Tang Zheng gradually got used to this kind of thing. He simply ignored it and returned home. At dawn, the group of people ate breakfast and went to work or school. Fang Shishir spent every day in the library because the final exams were approaching. As the transfer to Yenqing University for the first semester, she wanted to hand in a perfect answer sheet. Lan Yu also dragged Wu to buy groceries early in the morning. During this period of time, she changed every day to make delicious food for Tang Jing. The others also followed along to enjoy the good food. The mysterious Nine Heavens maiden also brought Nan Nan to do morning exercises, saying that she was in contact with nature. This was one of Nanan's favorite activities, but the only regret was that brother Tang Jing could not come along. When the Empyrean fairy guided Nana in cultivation, no one was allowed to disturb them. Even Tang Jing did not have the qualifications, so he did not join in the fun. In the end, he was left alone at home. Looking at the empty house, he could not help but shake his head and smile bitterly. The others envied him for living in a country of women. In fact, because there were too many people, he could not get close to them. Chapter 868. Fang Shishir had already transferred to another school for some time, and she had become familiar with the students around her. With her natural beauty and gentle personality, she quickly won the hearts of her classmates, and almost became the only focus of attention in the class. This naturally attracted the attention of other boys, but she deliberately kept a distance from them to prevent herself from being involved in gossip. Early in the morning, she walked into the campus alone and headed towards the classroom. Thinking back to when she left the house, she hid in the corner and lightly kissed Tang Jing. Her little heart thumped fiercely and the corner of her mouth couldn't help but ripple with a smile. He's getting bolder and bolder. There are so many people at home, and he dares to kiss me. Actually, during this period of time, she also wanted to be alone with Tang Jing, but there were too many people at home, and the two of them didn't have the time and space to be intimate. The sun shone around her, and her floral dress fluttered in the wind. She was like a butterfly, bathed in the sun, and was especially charming. Many men passing by saw her, and their eyes were fixed on her. Some even directly bumped into the trunk of a tree, causing the others to burst into laughter. Suddenly, there was a scream in front of her, and a large group of students crazily rushed over. She jumped in fright. What happened? The students brushed past her, and some of them bumped into her, causing her to stagger and almost fall. She tiptoed and stretched her neck to look in that direction, but she couldn't see anything. Something must have happened. Could it be a criminal? Nowadays, school violence was happening from time to time. As a person with a sense of justice, and with outstanding skills, how could she sit back and do nothing? So, she went against the flow and quickly rushed over. When the others saw this, someone kindly reminded her, "Student, quickly go, there's murder over there." Murder? Fang Shishir was shocked, and wanted to stop the crime even more. She shouted, "Make way, make way." She rushed over. Suddenly, a few people who looked like international students ran in front of her. She didn't care and was about to brush past them. Suddenly, a few large hands reached out from different directions, directly grabbing her vital parts. It happened so suddenly that she was completely unprepared. Suddenly, when those large hands touched her body, a ray of light rippled out from her body. Bang bang bang, with a series of muffled sounds, those people were all bounced back by a huge force. Fang Shishir reacted as if she had just woken up from a dream. With a tap of her toes, she slid back a distance away from him and stared straight at him. "Who are you?" These people all had Western faces. They were tall and strong and had an extraordinary aura. They were definitely not ordinary international students. "Come with us, and you'll suffer less," one of them said in stiff Hua Xia language. "You want me to leave without saying anything?" "No way." Fang Shishir scolded, but she was still a little scared. If it wasn't for the golden jade purple robe protecting her, she would have been killed by these people. Then, she wouldn't have had the chance to fight back. These people obviously did not expect that the plan they had planned for a long time would fail. Immediately, they became even angrier and roared, "Since you refuse a toast only to be forced to drink a forfeit, then don't blame us for being impolite." Several people attacked together. Their huge arms were full of blue veins, showing their terrifying strength. Fang Shishi's slender hand gently pointed out, but there was the sound of wind and thunder. The two sides' attacks were completely different. One was fierce and overbearing, while the other was graceful and agile. Bang bang bang. In the blink of an eye, the two sides exchanged several moves. Fang Shishi was shocked. These people were definitely not ordinary martial artists. That strange and incomparable strength and the gradually exposed ferocious and terrifying aura gave her a feeling of déjà vu, werewolves. A light flashed in her mind. She finally remembered and blurted out. Hearing these two words, the other party was surprised. "You saw through us so quickly. Then we won't hide anymore." Roar, roar, roar. Several deafening roars sounded. These people transformed. Lush hair grew out of their pores. In the blink of an eye, they became tall and ferocious werewolves. Pairs of blue eyes stared at Fang Shishi. They had a bestial impulse to choose a person to devour. "Ah, monsters, murder!" The people around were frightened and screamed. They fled in all directions, looking at this scene in horror. Some people were so scared that they fell to the ground. They didn't have the strength to escape. Fang Shishi shouted at the people around her, "Run!" But there were still a few girls lying on the ground, unable to move. They were like a pear blossom in the rain, like a pool of mud. Fang Shishi sighed. Her figure flashed, grabbed the collars of several people, and threw them into the distance. She didn't want these people to have any accidents because of her. She couldn't bear it. At the moment she moved, the werewolves also moved. They roared with their bestial instincts and attacked Fang Shishi with their sharp claws. Fang Shishi had just thrown her classmates out when she felt a biting cold wind behind her. With a thought, the belt on her body released a rainbow light and flew up. Rainbow silk. This was the first time she used the rainbow silk in a real battle, but she had practiced it many times and was already used to it. With a flash of light, the soft rainbow silk danced and wrapped around a werewolf, lifting his body up. Puff puff puff. Flowers of blood immediately bloomed on the werewolf's body. He was cut open by his companion, whose sharp claws killed him immediately. This scene was very bloody, but Fang Shishi had already seen more bloody battles, so she didn't feel uncomfortable. On the contrary, she was surprisingly calm and her brain started to think quickly. The werewolves came to capture her, which meant that Rockefeller's people had come. Last time, she had cleverly escaped from the Atlantic Empire. The other party was unwilling to give up and actually chased her all the way to Huaxia. Rockefeller is vicious and merciless. I must inform Tang Jing as soon as possible. She thought, but she didn't have the strength. One werewolf died, but the other werewolves became crazier and their attacks became fiercer. For a moment, Fang Shishi didn't have the chance to call Tang Jing. The ancestor has ordered that if she resists stubbornly, we can kill her directly, a werewolf shouted. Nikolai hated Fang Shishi very much, so he would rather kill her directly. Yes, kill her. As soon as he said this, the other werewolves' morale was greatly boosted. There was a world of difference between capturing alive and killing. Killing Fang Shishi was obviously easier than capturing her alive. Thus, the werewolves attacked left and right, cooperating with each other tacitly and actually forcing Fang Shishi to retreat. These werewolves weren't ordinary people, especially when they attacked together like this, their power was greatly increased. Therefore, even though Fang Shishi had a heaven-grade magic treasure like the rainbow damask, she was still in a tight spot and was surrounded by danger. Fang Shishi fought as she retreated. Suddenly, the sound of fighting came from behind her. She looked out of the corner of her eyes and widened her eyes in surprise. Yi ding dang. Yi Dingdang was also attacked, and she was also surrounded by werewolves. Yi Dingdang's clear wind sword wasn't like the rainbow silk, which could be casually carried on her body. She picked up a tree branch and barely dealt with the attacks. Fang Shishir suddenly shivered, realizing that the situation was more serious than she thought. The werewolves attacking her made sense, but for them to attack Yi Dingdang from so far away, this was thought-provoking. Tang Zhang's relationship with Yi Dingdang obviously couldn't be hidden from her, but the Rockefeller family might not necessarily know. And they attacked her and Yi Dingdang at the same time, which showed that the other party's intentions were sinister. Not only did they target her, but they also targeted everyone who had a close relationship with Tang Zhang. Fang Shishir was astute and intelligent. These days, she had already seen that other than Yi Dingdang, Tang Zhang and Marshall definitely had that kind of relationship. In addition, she even guessed that Tang Zhang and Lu Qingmei also had an unclear relationship. Although the two of them had a teacher-student relationship on the surface, based on a woman's sixth sense, there were times when Lu Qingmei looked at Tang Zhang with eyes full of love, which definitely couldn't be faked. She was very confident in her own judgment. Because of this, Rockefeller wouldn't just attack her and Yi Dingdang, the others would also suffer an unexpected calamity. I must immediately inform the others. She thought decisively, but this was just a beautiful extravagant hope. She didn't have the time to care about anything else. Yi Dingdang also saw Fang Shishir and was shocked. She asked, "What's going on?" "They are Rockefeller werewolves. They came for me and Tang Zhang, but they also targeted you. I'm sorry to have involved you," Fang Shishir said apologetically. Yi Dingdang was carefree, so of course she didn't care if she was involved or not. Back at the martial arts convention, she had seen the power of the werewolves and didn't have the slightest good impression of this group of ferocious fellows. "A group of beasts wants to kill me. Dream on." Yi Dingdang was flustered and exasperated. The branch in her hand tapped rapidly, grasping the essence of the wind-chasing swordsmanship. Now, her attainments in the wind-chasing swordsmanship were even more powerful than Tang Zhang's. Even if it was a branch, she could unleash great power in her hands. Blood flowed from the werewolf's body where it was tapped, and the werewolf cried out in pain. But this was only a branch after all, so it couldn't be compared to a real sword. A werewolf broke the branch with one swipe of its claw and slapped at her face with its sharp claws. "Careful." Seeing this, Fang Shishir flicked her wrist. The rainbow ribbon flew in front of Yi Dingdang and wrapped around the sharp claws, blocking the attack for Yi Dingdang. Yi Dingdang looked at her with a complicated expression. After hesitating for a moment, she said, "Thank you." She flipped her palm and slapped the werewolf's body. With a crack, the claws were directly broken. She was temporarily out of danger. Suddenly, she saw a ferocious figure appear behind Fang Shishir. She was shocked and cried out, "Be careful behind you." But Fang Shishir was too late. This time, the one attacking her wasn't a werewolf, but a mysterious vampire. Moreover, it had suddenly descended from the sky, making it impossible to guard against. The vampire was wearing a huge cloak. The cloak covered Fang Shishir's head, and a cold light flashed. Chapter 869. Seeing Fang Shishir fly out in a bloody mess, Yi Dingdang screamed in fright, "Fang Shishir, are you all right?" There were several deep wounds on Fang Shishir's face, almost to the point where her bones could be seen. It was unknown if she was still alive. Yi Dingdang's eyes widened as anger surged within her. Fang Shishir had sacrificed so much to save her. These werewolves really deserved to die. She roared angrily and charged towards a werewolf without any regard for her own safety. Pooh! The werewolf's sharp claws tore through her sleeves, leaving a shallow scratch mark on her white arm that was bleeding profusely. She gritted her teeth and endured the pain. Using her hand like a sword chi burst forth and with a pu chi sound, it pierced through the werewolf's heart. She suddenly pulled back and pulled the heart out. The werewolf cried out miserably and fell to the ground. She suddenly turned around and stared at another werewolf. The werewolf subconsciously took a step back when her gaze swept over him. What are you standing there for? She's only one person. Are you afraid of her? The vampire flew back and scolded in a stern voice. This vampire was clearly the leader of this group. With a single order, the werewolves fiercely charged forward once again. Whoosh! Yi Ding-dang suddenly discovered that there was another person beside her. Fong Shishir. She was pleasantly surprised to find that she was fine. Even the wounds on her face were gone. Her skin was as smooth as before with only a few streaks of blood left. You. She clearly saw Fong Shishir's skin and flesh split open. How could she be fine in the blink of an eye? This healing speed was too shocking. We'll talk about it later. Fong Shishir knew that this was because she had gained some vampire abilities, such as self-healing. She couldn't help but be glad that she had profited from this disaster. Yi Ding-dang knew that now wasn't the time to get to the bottom of things. She nodded and said, "Then let's fight our way out together." Two delicate voices sounded and two moving figures attacked the enemy. In the blink of an eye, the two sides were fighting again. All of a sudden, the werewolves exploded with blood and collapsed to the ground. Everyone was shocked by this scene and turned their heads to look, only to find a few people standing beside the werewolf's corpse. They had no idea when these people had arrived. When Yi Ding-dang saw them, she was pleasantly surprised. "It's you guys." These people were actually Tang Zheng's three roommates, Sinosaurus, Zhou Yan and Wang Shiji. Tang Zheng had already taught them the god-killing tactics, and had also given them Peiyuan Dan to wash their marrow and change their physique. They had been cultivating for some time now and had made some small achievements, especially Sinosaurus, who had the mountain-shattering meteor hammer and was the strongest of the three. They rushed over when they heard the fighting and happened to see a group of werewolves attacking Yi Ding-dang and Fong Shishir. How could they sit by and do nothing? Thus, they launched a silent sneak attack and killed 3 werewolves in one go. Their morale was greatly boosted and they said passionately, "Don't worry, with us here, no one can hurt you." Yi Ding-dang never thought that even Tang Zheng's 3 roommates would become cultivators with extraordinary strength. However, at this moment, she was somewhat glad. Without these 3 people, her and Fong Shishir's situation would be even worse. The vampires were extremely anxious when they saw that the other party had come to help. This was a university campus, and their movements were so loud that the police would probably arrive soon. At that time, it would be even more difficult to catch these 2 people. Speak of the devil. The sound of sirens came from afar and police cars rushed over from all directions. This was Yenqing University, Huaxiao's top university. With such a terrible case happening, the police naturally couldn't ignore it. Even the special police team came, armed with live ammunition, and quickly surrounded them. Seeing this, the vampires glared at their 2 targets and roared, "Retreat!" They turned around and flew into the sky. "Stay here!" Fong Shishir was unable to restrain her anger. She roared and waved her arm. The rainbow ribbon expanded and wrapped around the vampires. The vampires struggled but still couldn't escape from the rainbow ribbon. When the other werewolves saw this, they didn't have time to help and fled in all directions. "Stop!" Sinosaurus also roared. With a flash of light in his hand, the moon-shattering meteor hammer flew out and hit a werewolf. The werewolf's head was directly smashed into his body, and he staggered to the ground and died. Bang bang bang, a series of intense gunshots rang out, and the other werewolves also fell to the ground. After twitching a few times, they couldn't move anymore. The air was filled with the smell of smoke and blood. This area was completely under martial law, and the police with live ammunition stopped the onlookers who wanted to watch the show. Caw caw caw. The sound of guns being pulled could be heard. All the police pointed their guns at Fong Shisher and the others. Sinosaurus and the other two hurriedly stood in front of the two girls. Sinosaurus smiled and said, "Hee hee, don't misunderstand. We're on the same side, on the same side." However, the police didn't relax, especially the bodies of the werewolves on the ground. It made them feel like they were facing a great enemy. "Don't move," the police roared. Fong Shisher was worried about Tang Zhang's comfort and took out her phone. "I said don't move." The police glared and was about to pull the trigger. A war seemed to be about to break out. "It's just a phone call. Why are you so nervous? We're all from Huaxia. Can't you be more polite?" Zhou Yan also stood up. "Just make the call. I'll see who dares to shoot." The policemen looked at each other in dismay. In the end, they still let Fong Shisher make the call. "Hey, Tang Jing, something happened. Rockefeller's people attacked me and Yiding Dang. They tried to take us away. Yes, we're fine now. I suspect that not only are they going to attack us, they're also going to harm the rest of the family." When Tang Zheng heard this, he was already furious. He comforted Fong Shisher with a few words. Since the police had interfered, it would be safer to stay with the police for the time being. Then, he began to call the others. Lu Qingmei and Mu Hongyan were on their way to work. He called for a long time, but no one answered. He thought to himself that something was wrong and rushed out of the villa, chasing after them on the road to work. During this time, he dialed Wu's number again, but he heard some noise on the other side, as if there was an intense battle. "We were attacked. It was a werewolf," Wu Yun said calmly. "Are you all right?" Tang Zhang's head tightened. Fong Shisher guessed right. This time, Rockefeller was actually targeting everyone around him. It seemed that they were planning something big. "We're fine. It's just a few werewolves. Master's wife and I can take care of them," Wu said lightly. "This is Rockefeller's people coming to take revenge on me. Be careful. Don't let a single one of them go. Kill them all." Tang Jing gnashed his teeth and said fiercely. "No problem." Wu hung up the phone. Tang Zhang's heart jumped even higher. He dialed Empyrean Fairy's number again. Empyrean Fairy's voice was somewhat puzzled. She asked first, "Why are there werewolves and bad demons in the capital? Did they escape from the 10,000 mountains?" Tang Zhang's head darkened. It seemed that she was no exception. He hurriedly asked, "Are you and Nana injured? How can these weak monsters hurt me? I'll kill them all." The mysterious maiden of the 9 heavens said calmly. Tang Zhang let out a sigh of relief and said, "That's good. Protect Nana and quickly go home. Now that someone has come to find trouble with me, the people around me have all been attacked." Empyrean Fairy made an "oh" sound and said, "It seems that they didn't escape from the 10,000 mountains. Then where did they come from?" "Atlantic Empire, Rockefeller family." "Never heard of it." Empyrean Fairy did not care at all. "Relax. Nana is my disciple. How could I let her get hurt? We still have to continue our morning exercise. Let's not talk about it." Tang Jing smiled bitterly. Only the Empyrean Fairy was so skilled and daring. She did not put these things in her eyes at all. After such a thing happened, she still had to continue her morning exercise. Tang Zhang was burning with anxiety. Now only Lu Qingmei and Mu Hongyan's safety was uncertain. But these two people were the ones he was most worried about because they were the weakest. Nothing must happen to them. He anxiously muttered to himself. Like a gust of wind, he rushed through the streets. Lu Qingmei and Mu Hongyan drove to the company together as usual. Since joining the company, Lu Qingmei learned a lot from Mu Hongyan. She was gradually subdued by Mu Hongyan's charm. This single mother's business talent was amazing. She felt ashamed of her inferiority. Because of this, she had been humbly learning by Mu Hongyan's side. She improved very quickly. Lu Qingmei drove the car and chatted casually with Mu Hongyan. Suddenly, there was a loud bang. The roof of the car caved in, as if something heavy had fallen on top of the car. Both of them were shocked, thinking that it was something that fell from a high altitude. Lu Qingmei reacted quickly and stepped on the brakes to stop the car. Rip! The sound of fabric tearing came from above. A ray of sunlight shone in from the car. The two of them quickly looked up and found that the roof of the car had been torn open, revealing a huge hole. A ferocious wolf head came into view. Roar! The werewolf roared. A stinky wind blew in their faces, blowing their hair. Mu Hongyan let out a shriek, terrified. Lu Qingmei was also shocked, but she immediately realized that something was wrong. She pointed at the werewolf and the dragon-trapping rope flew out and tied the werewolf up. Bang! The werewolf fell off the roof of the car while Lu Qingmei shouted, "Sister Mu, sit tight." She suddenly started the car and rushed out like an arrow leaving the bow. Suddenly, the car's momentum came to an abrupt stop. Then, it rose into the air. The two of them saw a huge werewolf stop the car and lift it up with both hands. Get out of the car. Lu Qingmei reacted quickly. She grabbed Mu Hongyan, kicked open the car door and jumped out. The two of them rolled on the ground and stood up. Only then did they see that they were surrounded by more than 10 werewolves. Mu Hongyan also gradually calmed down. Although her breathing was still rapid, she did not shout. What should we do? Mu Hongyan asked. Sister Mu, I'll hold them back. You leave quickly. Lu Qingmei said without thinking. They have so many people. If I leave, what will you do? Chapter 870. Mu Hongyan was pushed far away. When she saw Lu Qingmei charging over without a care for her own safety, her eyes reddened and she almost burst into tears. However, she was different from other women. She would not act like a little girl who would cry and insist on staying no matter what. She did not have the strength to truss a chicken. If she stayed, she would only be of help. She could not help but regret that she should have asked Tang Jing to teach her spells. Then, she would not be so passive in this situation. Although she could not help, she could not do nothing. She took out her phone in a flurry and was about to call Tang Jing. Suddenly, a figure flashed in front of her. A person in a cloak blocked her way. She was so scared that she staggered back. However, the other party closed in and grabbed her wrist, leaving her with nowhere to run. Hee, come with me. A cold laugh sounded. The cloak rolled up and covered Mu Hongyan. Ah, let go of me. Mu Hongyan screamed. However, there was nothing she could do. She felt the world spinning and she was lifted off the ground. Lu Qingmei heard the scream and turned her head to look. She saw a black figure carrying Mu Hongyan into the air and disappeared in the blink of an eye. Big Sister Mu. Lu Qingmei called out anxiously. However, the only response she got was the fierce attacks of the 10 or so werewolves. She had a total of 2 magic treasures, the dragon-trapping rope and the summer pouch. However, only the dragon-trapping rope could fight the enemy. She waved her hand and the dragon-trapping rope that was trapping the werewolf suddenly contracted. With a boom, the werewolf exploded into a cloud of blood. Then, the dragon-trapping rope flew back into her hand. She shook the dragon-trapping rope and fought the enemy with all her might. She was very inexperienced in fighting and was very anxious. Soon, she was in a mess and was about to fall into the hands of the werewolves. Suddenly, a figure appeared at the end of the street. A furious roar came from afar. Go to hell, you werewolves. Whoosh! A white figure was one step ahead and landed on the head of a werewolf. The werewolf quickly waved his claws to grab it. Bang! A huge force came from above, and the werewolf's head exploded like a ripe watermelon. Xiaobai waved its little white claws and disdainfully jumped down from the werewolf's corpse. With a kick of its hind legs, it pounced toward another werewolf. The werewolf roared again and again, trying to block Xiaobai. However, it saw a ball of flames soar into the sky. Its lush fur immediately caught fire, turning it into a fireball. It screamed and fell to the ground, finally turning into a pile of black ash. Tang Zhang's eyes were bloodshot as he held on to Battle Soul. Pu, a few sinister heads fell to the ground. Seeing this, the remaining werewolves screamed and fled in all directions. Tang Zhang snorted angrily. All of you must die. His figure flashed, leaving only afterimages and streaks of blood. Then, the sinister heads fell to the ground. A moment later, all the werewolves turned into cold corpses. Seeing Tang Jing, Lu Qingmei heaved a sigh of relief. However, when she thought of Mu Hongyan, her heart jumped to her throat. She couldn't wait to say, Tang Jing, Sister Mu has been taken away. I'm really useless. I didn't protect Sister Mu well. Tang Jing hugged her tightly, patted her back, and comforted her. Sister Mei, it's not your fault. I didn't protect you well. Don't worry, I will definitely save Sister Mu. Lu Qingmei leaned into his embrace. Only then did she feel a burst of fear. Her entire body went soft, and cold sweat broke out on her back. Her entire body trembled. Tang Zhang was in extreme pain and comforted her. Don't be afraid. I'll take care of everything. I won't let them hurt you again. Then what about Sister Mu? Tang Zhang's eyes flashed with hatred. He gritted his teeth. I will save her, and then let the enemy pay with their blood. Rockefeller had come prepared this time. Since Mu Hongyan had been captured and not killed on the spot, it meant that her life was not in danger for the time being. The other party definitely had other plans. He still had some time. I'll send you home first. With Fu Yao protecting you, even if the enemy comes again, it won't be good for you. Tang Jing pulled her back home as fast as lightning. As for the werewolf corpses on the ground, he didn't care about them anymore. This time, Rockefeller had started a war everywhere, clearly wanting to make things bigger. Even if Tang Jing wanted to hide it, he couldn't. As for how the ordinary people would view this matter, he didn't have time to think about it. When the two of them returned home, they found that Empyrean Fairy, Nana, Wu, and Lan Yu had already returned. When they saw the two of them enter the house, they quickly walked over to welcome them. Little Zheng, are you all right? Lan Yu was burning with anxiety. She pulled Tang Zhang's hand and sized him up. I'm fine. Lan Yu patted her chest and said with lingering fear, it's good that you're fine. What exactly happened this time? The Rockefeller family came to take revenge on me, but he didn't come directly to me. Instead, he targeted the people around me. Tang Jing said hatefully, he's simply too shameless. When he saw that Lu Qingmei had returned alone, his heart skipped a beat as he hurriedly asked, where's Sister Mu? She was taken away. Lu Qingmei's eyes turned red as sorrow welled up in her heart. The few of them were shocked. Wu Dang said, let's go save Sister Mu. Calm down, we don't even know where they are. The capital is so big, where are we going to find them? All of you stay at home. Fu Yao, help me take care of them. If anyone dares to attack, kill them. Tang Zhang said with a murderous look. Empyrean Fairy rarely saw him lose control like this. She understood his feelings and nodded, don't worry, with me here, no one can hurt them. Thank you. I'll go to the police station first. Shishir and Ding Dang are at the police station. I heard that they caught someone alive, so I'll go take a look. I'll go with you. Wu and Lan Yu blurted out. The two of them looked at each other and Lan Yu said with concern, the one who came this time is not a good person. Furthermore, it's the Rockefeller family, not an ordinary person. I'll go with you in case there's any danger. She was concerned about her son's safety. She wanted nothing more than to stay by his side and protect him from being harmed in the slightest. However, Tang Jing shook his head and refused. I've already made up my mind. You guys stay at home, I'll be alone. Seeing that his attitude was so resolute, Lan Yu and Wu couldn't say anything more and could only watch him leave. Ding ling ling. Tang Zhang's phone rang. It was actually Yan Padian. He went straight to the point and asked, Tang Jing, how are you? I'm fine. Sister Mu was taken away by them. Mu Hongyan. Rockefeller's people are so daring, they actually came to the capital of Huaxia to capture people. Yan Padian said in a flustered and exasperated manner. Elder Yan, use all of our strength and dig 3 feet into the ground to find them. I want to save Sister Mu unscathed. Tang Zheng's voice was close to a low growl, showing the anxiety and anger in his heart. Yan Padian felt the same way and said, don't worry, the Yan family is not to be trifled with. They came to the capital under the guise of the heavens and did so many things, so they will definitely leave behind some clues that can be traced. I will definitely be able to find them. Alright, then let's keep in touch. Where are you going now? I'm going to the police station to pick someone up and meet the captured Strigoi. The commotion this time is too big. I'm afraid that the higher-ups will appear. You have to be mentally prepared. Yan Padian reminded. Tang Jing secretly nodded his head. The older the ginger, the spicier it was. Yan Potion's judgment was very accurate, and he also judged it the same way. However, when he arrived at the police station looked as if they were facing a great enemy. When he asked to see Fang Shishir and the others, he was pointed at by more than 10 guns. He was not afraid at all. He looked at the group of policemen and said, find the person in charge and talk to him. As soon as he finished speaking, the sound of hurried footsteps came from behind him. Then, a loud and clear voice sounded. Put down your guns. If he really wants to make a move, your guns will be like toys. They won't be able to do anything to him. Tang Jing turned around and saw a familiar figure. Ding Liang, why is it you? This person was an agent of the National Security Bureau in the Atlantic Empire. After being rescued by Tang Jing, he had never seen him again. Now that the National Security Bureau no longer existed, he did not expect to see him again. Ding Liang was still chubby as he held on to Tang Zhang's hand and said enthusiastically, Tang Jing, long time no see. You're in charge of this matter? Tang Zhang asked suspiciously. Yes, after all, I've been in the Atlantic Empire for so many years, so I'm familiar with Rockefeller's situation. This time, the chief ordered me to supervise this matter. Ding Liang said seriously. Did you really alarm the higher-ups? Ding Liang said seriously, with such a big lineup today, how could it not alarm the higher-ups? Right now, rumors are spreading all over the capital, and the impact is very bad. The chief ordered us to eliminate the impact as soon as possible. I don't care about the impact. I just want to catch the culprit. Tang Jing coldly snorted and said. Ding Liang smiled bitterly. Of course, this is also one of the goals. I want to see my friend first. No problem. The police did not stop them and watched as they walked into a large room. Fang Shishir and the others were anxiously waiting inside. Seeing Tang Jing, they seemed to have found their backbone and came forward to greet him. Tang Jing looked at Sinosaurus and the others and said gratefully, Brothers, thank you for your help this time. If it wasn't for their help, Fang Shishir and Yi Dingdang would not have been able to escape the fate of being kidnapped. He never thought that teaching his roommates magic would have such a wonderful opportunity. This was really a case of every sip and peck, everything was predestined by karma. Old 3, don't be so polite with us. This is what we should do. Right, let's get down to business first. What is going on this time? Tang Jing did not want them to get too involved and said, you don't have to worry about what happens next. The other party came with bad intentions, so I will take care of it. Sinosaurus said angrily, Old 3, don't tell me you don't treat us as brothers because you don't go to school anymore. How could that be? Since we're brothers, then of course we'll go through thick and thin together. No matter who it is, if they dare to touch us brothers, I'll use the mountain-shattering meteor hammer to smash their head back into their stomach. Sinosaurus said aggressively. Chapter 871. Tang Jing pacified several people before asking to see the captive vampire. Ding Liang hesitated for a moment and said, Tang Jing, this time Rockefeller came all the way here. It must be to target you, but they are making too much of a ruckus. How are you going to deal with them? A debt of blood must be paid in blood. Tang Jing said resolutely. It's better to squash enmity than keep it alive. After all, Rockefeller is an influential family in the world. Ding Liang advised. So what? They've racked their brains to kill me and even targeted the people around me. Do they want me to let it go? Tang Jing snorted disdainfully as he asked in a mocking tone. The higher-ups mean to turn big problems into small ones and small ones into nothing. If this matter escalates to an international conflict, then the losses outweigh the gains. Ding Liang advised earnestly. Tang Jing firmly shook his head, you and I stand on different sides. I don't expect you to agree with my methods. As for compromising with Rockefeller, that's absolutely impossible. Even if it causes an international conflict, they were the ones who started it first. Can they blame me? If we blindly tolerate such ambitious people, then they'll take a mile after taking an inch. Ding Liang let out a long sigh and said, our country is developing, and the Atlantic Empire is the most powerful country in the world. If we cause a conflict between the two countries, then we'll be at a disadvantage. Ding. Don't tell me that blindly compromising won't be at a disadvantage. Last time, Louis almost caused a disaster and killed tens of thousands of Huaxia citizens. Did you resist afterwards? Tang Jing stared sharply at Ding Liang as he asked in a powerful voice. Ding Liang was speechless for a long time before saying, this is a multifaceted consideration from the higher-ups. A country isn't like an individual. We can't let our emotions affect our decisions. We have to weigh the pros and cons. I won't point fingers at the country, but please don't point fingers at me. I have my own opinions. I only ask you one thing, will you let me see that captive? Ding Liang lowered his head under Tang Jing's sharp gaze and said helplessly, fine, I'll let you see him, but you can't kill him. We still want to get more information from his mouth. If we kill him, how do we pry open his mouth? Tang Jing said meaningfully. Ding Liang hesitated. Actually, we've already interrogated him. No matter what we did, he wouldn't let go. What can you do? Tang Jing smiled coldly and did not answer. Ding Liang resentfully brought them to the place where the vampires were imprisoned. The others waited outside, and only Tang Jing was allowed to enter. There wasn't a single window on the thick walls, and even the door was made of thick steel. The Blood Clan had even put on shackles and handcuffs to prevent him from escaping. As soon as Tang Jing walked in, the vampire abruptly raised his head and stared at Tang Jing with a pair of deep blue eyes. You know me? Tang Jing asked, noticing something in the other party's eyes. The vampire hatefully said, you are Tang Jing. Humph, stop dreaming. You want to pry open my mouth? Keep dreaming. Tang Jing aggressively walked in front of the other party and looked down at him without saying a word. A formless pressure spread out. The vampire's expression changed slightly as he felt it was difficult to breathe. That powerful aura enveloped him, causing him to feel an indescribable fear. Tang Jing coldly smiled. I know you are loyal and devoted to the Rockefeller family, so I don't have any extravagant hopes of prying open your mouth. The vampire was startled, not knowing what these words meant. He thought the other party was showing weakness and couldn't help but sneer. So you're only so-so. Our Rockefeller family will definitely make you wish you were dead. Is that so? Then I'll make you wish you were dead first. Tang Jing reached out and grabbed the vampire's head. The vampire immediately let out a scream. What are you doing? He clearly wasn't as smart as Jian Shan back then and didn't know that Tang Jing was using a soul-searching technique to seize the information in his mind. He struggled incessantly, his handcuffs and ankles rattling loudly. However, these were all made of special materials and he couldn't break free at all. Outside the door, everyone turned pale with fright when they saw this scene from the monitor. Ding Liang, in particular, cried out loudly. How could Tang Jing be so impulsive? He was just about to rush in and stop Tang Jing when he was stopped by Fang Shishir and Yi Dingdang. They had been by Tang Jing's side for a long time and knew a thing or two about his methods. Wait a moment, Tang Jing won't harm his life. Really? Ding Liang was skeptical. Of course. The two spoke in unison with great certainty. After fighting side by side, their relationship seemed to be heating up rapidly. The estrangement from before was also gradually melting away, and they actually had some kind of tacit understanding. Ding Liang's expression fluctuated, but in the end, he still chose to believe Tang Jing. After going through life and death in the Atlantic Empire, he was also willing to believe Tang Jing. What are you doing? Stop. The Blood Clan member let out a heart-wrenching scream. His body twitched incessantly, and his reaction was quite big. It hurts so much. My head is about to explode. What are you doing to me? Tang Jing didn't say a word. He quickly used the soul search technique, and a stream of information flowed into his brain from the Blood Clan member's brain. After a long time, he finally released his hand. The Blood Clan member was already slumped weakly on the chair. His entire body was soaked, as if he had been fished out of the water. But the strange thing was that he actually didn't turn into an idiot. This definitely wasn't because his cultivation was high enough to resist the side effects of the soul search technique. The Blood Clan member can automatically heal wounds. When I used the soul search technique, it injured his brain. Could it be that his brain also quickly healed after being injured, so there weren't any side effects? Tang Jing felt that his guess wasn't far from the truth. He couldn't help but feel disappointed that he didn't turn the Blood Clan member into a lunatic. However, since he had fallen into the hands of the officials, he would definitely suffer more torture. On the contrary, it would be too easy for him to just kill him. Moreover, he had promised Ding Liang to spare his life. Tang Jing had already obtained the information he wanted. Although it was fragmented and incomplete, at least he knew the general plan of the Rockefeller family. They didn't attack him directly. Instead, they wanted to kidnap the people around him, then force him to submit and finally kill him. As for the people who were kidnapped, they wouldn't be merciful. They would all kill them in the end. Tang Jing gnashed his teeth in hatred. Rockefeller was as despicable and sinister as ever. Last time, he tried to sacrifice the lives of tens of thousands of people to activate the Mountain River Blood Sacrifice Array. Now, he was using the people around him to deal with him. I already know where they are hiding. I must hurry over and save Big Sister Mu as soon as possible. Tang Jing secretly made a decision. When he walked out of the interrogation room, Ding Liang hurriedly greeted him and asked, "What did you do to him?" Although he saw Tang Jing's every move clearly, he still didn't know the purpose of his actions. "I'm leaving. You can do whatever you want with him." Tang Jing didn't want to say more and directly said goodbye. Ding Liang was full of doubts, but he didn't stop him. Instead, he warned, "Our police have already sent people to search for Rockefeller's whereabouts. Soon, we will rescue Miss Moo. Don't worry. Don't act recklessly. Otherwise, it will cause more trouble. Tang Jing didn't comment and walked out of the police station with the others. Yi Dingdang couldn't wait to ask, what do we do now? Tang Jing didn't rush to answer. Instead, he said to Sinosaurus and the others, Boss, you take old 2 and old 4 back to school for class. Didn't we say that we should face difficulties together? We won't go. The others refused. I can really deal with the following matters. You go back to school. When this matter is over, I will come to find you. The final exam is coming soon. Don't delay your studies. Tang Jing didn't allow them to explain. No matter what the other party said, he didn't agree. The 3 of them could only go back to school resentfully. What about us? Fong Shishir asked. I will send you home. With Fu Yao protecting you, I can save Sister Mu without worry. No, I want to go with you. The 2 of them said in unison and volunteered. Be obedient. Tang Zhang's face sank and became abnormally serious. The 2 of them were slightly startled and didn't dare to insist. They warned, then be careful. After Tang Jing sent the 2 of them home, he rushed as fast as lightning towards the place where Mu Hongyan was locked up. They had agreed on a destination, and as long as they caught the people, they would bring them there. The destination was in the downtown area of Beijing. It was a detached villa. Tang Jing didn't know that this was a private property that Song Yu had bought in the past and was now provided to Rockefeller for use. Tang Jing quietly sneaked into the villa area. There was a small bridge, flowing water, and green trees. The environment was beautiful. From afar, he locked on to the target building. He didn't dare to alert the enemy and sneaked in without making a sound. He easily climbed in through the window of the villa. Suddenly, his pupils shrank as he saw a person sitting in the living room. The other party saw him barging in and raised his head to look at him without panic or dissatisfaction. There was no surprise at all. Instead, there was a mischievous smile. He was very familiar with this face. Ancestor Nicholas. Tang Zhang was as if he was facing a great enemy. His body tensed up and he was ready to attack. He shouted, "It's you. You're here too." Nicholas looked at him with a smile that wasn't a smile and said, "I have been waiting for you for a long time. I know you must have a way to find this place. Hang, since you know I have a way to find this place, why don't you run? Are you waiting for me to kill you?" Tang Jing angrily said. "You can't kill me." So confident. Tang Zhang wasn't a match for Nicholas last time. But now that his strength had increased by a large amount, he was confident that he could defeat the other party. Of course, because I have the person you want in my hands. If you kill me, then he will die without a doubt. Shameless, she is innocent. If you have anything, then come at me. What does it matter if you implicate the innocent? Tang Jing hatefully said. If you want to blame someone, then blame yourself. This is all your fault. Now you have 2 choices. 1. Kill yourself and then I will let that woman go. 2. Stubbornly resist. She will die in front of you first and then you will also die. Choose. Tang Jing disdainfully said, "What if I don't choose?" You don't have a 3rd choice. Nicholas was full of confidence. That's not necessarily true. Tang Jing decided to capture the king first. Only by controlling Nicholas would Mu Hongyan have a chance of survival. Thus, he attacked Nicholas as fast as lightning. With a flash of sword light, the War Soul sword pierced towards his body. Nicholas did not resist, and the War Soul sword easily passed through his body. Chapter 872. The War Soul sword passed through Nicholas's body without any hindrance, as if it was passing through air. Moreover, there was no blood. On the contrary, Nicholas was safe and sound. He smiled and looked at Tang Jing with ridicule, as if he was mocking him. He leisurely said, "I said you can't kill me." Tang Zhang's head shook. What kind of magic was this? Nicholas was sitting in front of him. It was so real that he could reach out and touch him. Why couldn't he hurt him? He suddenly had an idea. He suddenly raised his head and looked around. Finally, he saw a few small devices around the roof and suddenly realized, full system projection, you are fake. Tang Zhang was filled with regret. He didn't realize that the person sitting in front of him was just a projection and not Nicholas himself. No wonder he was so fearless. As for him himself, he might be far away from here. Too cunning. Tang Jing secretly hated and simply took back the war soul sword. What do you want? I have already pointed out 2 paths for you. You can choose one of them. Nicholas said with a smile and crossed his legs. I want to see Sister Mu. I want to confirm whether or not she has been harmed by you. As you wish. And Nicholas seemed to have already expected Tang Jing to have such a request. With a snap of his fingers, the television in front of him automatically turned on. Mu Hongyan appeared on the television, but she was tied up and unable to move. Her face was filled with fear. Sister Mu. Tang Jing cried out involuntarily. Tang Jing, is that you? Mu Hongyan's voice came from the television. She looked around. Obviously, she couldn't see Tang Jing. Sister Mu, it's me. Don't be afraid, I will save you. Tang Jing was sure that this was a real-time image and not recorded, so Mu Hongyan was still alive. He just didn't know where she was locked up. Mu Hongyan nodded and gradually calmed down. I'm not afraid. You must be careful. These people are very powerful. I know. What about Qingmei? How is she? She was in deep danger, but she was still worried about the safety of others. She's fine. Very safe. That's good, that's good. A relieved smile appeared on her face. Suddenly, the image flashed and disappeared. Tang Jing shouted that he didn't want it, but it was useless. He, truly affectionate and righteous. Tang Jing, do you have the heart to watch such a sentimental and righteous woman die because of you? Nicholas asked. Tang Zhang's expression was gloomy and uncertain. If something really happened to Mu Hongyan, Nana would become an orphan. When he thought of Nana's sad expression, he would not be able to redeem himself even if he died 100 times. Moreover, Mu Hongyan herself was also extremely important to him. The two of them could be said to have gone through life and death together. Back then, when they fell off the cliff and into the 100,000 mountains, he couldn't move at all. It was as if he was paralyzed. It was Mu Hongyan who took care of him in every possible way that allowed him to recover so quickly. Later, Mu Hongyan wholeheartedly helped him to take care of his business. It could be said that she poured all her efforts into it. Therefore, no matter what, Tang Jing couldn't leave her in the lurch. Have you thought it through? Such a good person died because of you. Do you have a conscience? Nicholas asked step by step. Do you have a conscience? Tang Jing asked back. Now I'm the one asking you, not the other way around. Tang Zhang's expression gradually became firm. He said, fine, I promise you. I will kill myself, but you must let her go. Righteous as the sky, ha. Nicholas laughed with satisfaction. But why should I believe you? You can only believe me. No, I absolutely cannot believe you. A person like you already has no conscience. You will definitely not believe what you say. I am a fool to believe you. I must make sure that she is safe and sound before I kill myself. Tang Jing stubbornly said. You have no right to negotiate. Then let's go our separate ways. In any case, even if I kill myself, you will not let her go, right? That captive has confessed everything. I am very clear about your sinister intentions. Nicholas was silent. He looked sharply at Tang Jing, as if he wanted to see through his determination. But after looking at him for a long time, he was sure that Tang Jing's words were not false. If they really went their separate ways, then all the work he had done would be useless. In the end, he still had to face Tang Jing one-on-one. This was a situation he absolutely did not want to see. After all, this was Tang Jing's base camp. If the two sides confronted each other face to face, the people he brought may not be able to gain any advantage. Therefore, if he could force him to kill himself, this would be the best result. Fine, I promise you. But when I let her go, I must see you die. Otherwise, I have many ways to guarantee that I will kill her. Nicholas had no choice but to compromise. Tang Jing was relieved. His insistence was right. Nicholas's ultimate goal was to kill him. As for the others, they could temporarily retreat. We'll hand over the hostages somewhere else. I'll stay here. Tang Jing said. When we hand over, I must see you die. Nicholas said with killing intent. Tang Jing was silent for a moment, then said resolutely, all right. Tang Jing immediately contacted Yan Padian and told him an address, then told him to go there and pick up Mu Hongyan. As for the rest, it was inconvenient for him to say anything else. After all, his every move was being monitored. Seeing that he did not play any tricks, Nicholas also began to arrange for his subordinates to hand over the hostages. Dozens of minutes later, the television lit up again. On the screen was a commercial plaza with a lot of people. From afar, a few Westerners could be seen escorting Mu Hongyan forward. This was Nicholas's men filming from afar and transmitting it over in real time. Tang Jing had already seen Yan Padian. He personally took action and walked towards Mu Hongyan and the others step by step. Tang Jing, in order to make it impossible for you to go back on your word, I made some small preparations. Do you see so many people in the plaza? What do you mean? Tang Jing suddenly had a bad premonition. If you don't commit suicide, not only will Mu Hongyan die, everyone in the plaza will be buried with you. I've already installed a bomb in the plaza. When the time comes, bang, everything will turn into nothingness. Nicholas laughed sinisterly. You're crazy. Tang Jing was furious. He clenched the war soul sword tightly and continuously slashed at Nicholas's body, but this was just a projection, it was useless. Don't be so angry. Didn't I say it already? As long as you fulfill your promise, I won't detonate the bomb, and no one will die. You're crazy, why should I believe you? If the bomb really explodes, it will definitely cause an official backlash. Unless it's the last step, I don't want to fight to the death and cause a third world war. Tang Jing stared at Nicholas, convinced that what he said was true. If he detonated a bomb in the bustling city of the capital, the authorities would definitely investigate thoroughly and give the people an explanation. Even if it was Nicholas, he would not be able to bear this responsibility. Unless it was the last moment, he would definitely not take the risk and take such a risk. So, don't challenge my last bit of patience. Nicholas added. As long as I see that elder sister Mu is safe and sound, I will naturally do as I say. Tang Jing said helplessly. Then I'll wait and see. On the screen, the two sides were getting closer and closer, both of them extremely fearful of each other. Finally, the two sides approached. Yan Potion's eyes were sharp and his hands were fast. He snatched Mu Hongyan and protected her behind him. Tang Jing had warned Yan Padian not to clash with Nicholas's men, so Yan Padian did not attack. The Westerners quickly retreated. Your turn. Nikolai urged. Tang Jing raised the war soul sword and aimed it at his chest. The air seemed to have frozen, and the surroundings were terrifyingly silent. Nicholas stared at the screen without blinking, and beside him were two other people, Song Yu and Li Xiaotian. Song Yu's expression was a little excited. Her plan this time was finally about to succeed. Ha, Tang Jing, even in your dreams, you would never have thought that you would die in my plan in the end. It was a pity that she couldn't kill him with her own hands. Li Xiaotian's expression was complicated. She had known Tang Jing for a long time and understood him very well. Seeing that he was willing to sacrifice his life to save others, she couldn't help but be moved. At the same time, she was a little puzzled. Could it be that Tang Jing really died just like that? According to the High Lord's judgment, it was impossible for him to die so easily. But now that things had come to this, what else could he do? Even though she was quick-witted, she still couldn't think of any way for Tang Jing to get through this difficult situation. Die. If he really dies, it can be considered as one less big trouble. Although the High Lord will be surprised, he should also be very happy. Li Xiaotian sighed inwardly. It seems that we have overestimated him. We always thought that he was very powerful, but it seems that he is also very stupid. He actually sacrificed his life for someone unrelated to him. This kind of person is destined to die. Song Yu said with disdain. Nicholas smiled and agreed, that makes sense. Yu Hua Xia have an old saying, a great man is ruthless. How can such an indecisive person achieve great things? However, killing him like this is too easy for him. My Louis died unjustly, not only Tang Jing, but also the women by his side. I want them all to be buried with Louis. After he kills himself, I will kill them all. Song Yu's heart turned cold, but she still said with a smile, that makes sense, especially that Yi Dingdang, she deserves to die. He was still brooding over the fact that he was unable to catch Yi Dingdang this time. If he had caught Yi Dingdang, it might have been even more exciting. My patience is limited. I will count to 3. If I don't end it, I will detonate the bomb. Nicholas urged. Tang Jing took a deep breath and growled. The war soul sword fiercely stabbed backwards. Puff! Blood splattered everywhere as the sword pierced through his chest. He slowly closed his eyes and fell to the ground with a bang, no longer breathing. The few of them looked at the scene of him crashing to the ground on the screen. They were all moved and shocked. The few people who were originally sitting quickly stood up as if there was a spring under their buttocks. Their breathing couldn't help but become hurried. Is he really dead? Li Xiaotian asked with mixed feelings. Whiz. Chapter 873. Dead. These 2 words were like the sound of nature, causing Song Yu to almost jump up in joy. He could not hide his excitement as he waved his fists. Tang Jing is finally dead. Nicholas also smiled as if relieved of a burden, but it was not enough to vent his anger as he said, next, it's time to deal with the women around him. Li Xiaotian's expression was complicated as he looked at the motionless Tang Jing on the screen and sighed faintly. What? Saint Lady doesn't want him to die. Song Yu's expression turned cold as he asked with an unkind expression. Li Xiaotian coldly glanced at him and said snappily, what does what I think have to do with you? Song Yu choked, but he was unable to refute. In front of the Lord, Li Xiaotian's status was much higher than his, so he did not dare to offend her. Song Yu bitterly smiled and changed the topic. It seems that the people of the island nation are useless. Who said they are useless? Isn't it just right to deal with Tang Jing's women? Nicholas smiled meaningfully. Song Yu's eyes lit up as he agreed, that makes sense. This group of island nation people are vengeful. Although Tang Jing is dead, compared to their previous losses, Tang Jing's death may not be able to make up for all of them. They will definitely not be reconciled. Then let's leak the information to them. A group of island nation monkeys is just right to be cannon fodder. Nicholas said with a smile. Obviously, he looked down on the island nation in his heart. Then what about Tang Jing's body? Li Xiaotian suddenly asked. The body is already useless. Then give it to me. I want to use it to lure out Lan Yu. Li Xiaotian's eyes flashed as he said mysteriously. Lure her out for what? Song Yu asked suspiciously. This group of martial sect remnants has always been a huge threat to us. Now that all of them have gone into hiding, how can we ignore them? If we don't eliminate them as soon as possible, they will definitely become a huge threat in the future. Song Yu's heart skipped a beat. He couldn't help but sigh at how vicious and merciless this woman was. She didn't even spare a dead person. However, he liked this plan very much. The news of Tang Zhang's death quickly spread. This time, it was real news of his death. Immediately, it was like an atomic bomb had exploded, shocking all the forces in the capital. In the big villa, there was a cloud of worry. Mu Hongyan had already returned safely, but when she heard the news, she was stunned on the spot. Then, she covered her face and squatted on the ground, crying. As a strong woman, she had not cried for many years. This time, she cried her heart out. It was even more painful than stabbing her heart with a knife. It's all my fault. If it weren't for saving me, he wouldn't have sacrificed himself. Tang Zhang, why are you so stupid? How is my life worth doing this for you? Woo woo woo. Nana was frightened by her mother's actions. She also cried out and laid on her mother's body, sobbing, "Mother, what's wrong? Don't cry, Nana is scared." Cries immediately spread through the crowd, rising and falling one after another. Lan Yu suddenly sat on the sofa, as if all the strength in her body had been sucked out. She shook her head in disbelief. "No, my son won't die, he won't die." Wu and Yi Dingdang had experienced the news of Tang Zhang's death before. Although they kept telling themselves that this was fake, just like last time, they couldn't help but cry. The two of them looked at each other and shook their heads at the same time. It was as if they were encouraging themselves and the other, saying, "No, he definitely won't die." Lu Qingmei stood there in a daze. She didn't say a word as tears flowed down her white cheeks. However, Fang Shishir didn't even turn her head as she rushed out, shouting at the top of her lungs, "If I don't see it with my own eyes, I will never believe that he will die." Yan Padian immediately stopped Fang Shishir and advised, "Miss Fang, don't be impatient. This time, the enemy is not only targeting Tang Zhang, but also all of you. If you rush out now, you will only give the enemy an opportunity to take advantage of." The older the ginger, the spicier it was. Even at this time, he did not panic. Tears welled up in Fang Shishir's eyes. She shook her head violently, and tears rolled down from the corners of her eyes. "He is my beloved. If he is alive, I want to see him. If he is dead, I want to see his corpse. I must see him." Yan Padian advised earnestly, "Don't worry, even if I have to risk my life, I will still find Tang Zhang." Fang Shishir shook her head and said, "I'll go myself. If I die, I'll die with him." Even though Yan Padian was knowledgeable and had a firm temperament, when he heard this, he couldn't help but sigh. Princess Anne's expression dimmed, but she did not shed any tears. Looking at the people who were crying, a voice sounded in her heart, "Is he really dead? Back then in the sea, he was so powerful, how could he die? He's my knight." Empyrean Fairy was the calmest. She looked at the crowd indifferently and did not say a word. Bang! Suddenly, the door was pushed open and a person wearing a grey Daoist robe appeared at the door, Yan Qingyi. She swept her gaze across the crowd and said in an earth-shattering manner, "Tang Zhang will not die. He won't die." Everyone's attention was attracted. "Really?" Many people hurriedly asked as if they had grabbed onto a life-saving straw. Yan Qingyi nodded firmly, "Yes. He will definitely not die." "How do you know?" Yan Qingyi wanted to say something but hesitated. Her prophecy technique was her biggest secret. If it were to be made public, whether it was to her or to the Yan family, it would be a huge hidden danger. Is he really not going to die? Yan Padian also asked anxiously. He knew his daughter very well, she would not spout nonsense. Father, you should know very well that the scene I predicted back then meant that Tang Jing would not die. Yan Qingyi said. Yan Padian hesitated. Of course he was clear about this, but the information this time was too accurate, he had no choice but to believe it. I've predicted a new scene. Yan Qingyi saw that everyone was skeptical, so she clenched her teeth and said directly. Prophecy. Empyrean Fairy immediately stood up and looked at Yan Qingyi suspiciously. What do you mean by that? I know prophecy. Yan Qingyi spoke the truth. In order to dispel their worries, she had really gone all out. You know prophecy. The others were all dumbstruck. This was a legendary divine skill, and she actually knew it as well. Empyrean Fairy looked at Yan Qingyi carefully, but did not feel any energy fluctuations from her body. She could not help but mutter to herself, prophecy, there really is a prophecy, how do you know prophecy? To be able to make Empyrean Fairy so shocked, it could be seen that this prophecy technique was not something an ordinary person could possess. We are talking about Tang Zhang's problem now. Yan Qingyi did not want to talk about it in detail and changed the topic. I predicted that he would be reborn. Really? He can be reborn. The others were overjoyed. Yes, sir. Yan Qingyi was very confident in her prophecy and nodded firmly. Then, does that mean he's really dead now? Lan Yu abruptly raised her head and asked, seeing blood. Since it was rebirth, then it meant that he was already dead. With that thought, everyone's expressions darkened, especially Mu Hongyan. Her tears were like broken pearls. Tang Jing really had sacrificed himself in order to save her. Yan Qingyi hesitated for a moment before nodding silently. Then hurry up and tell me, what method do you have for him to be reborn? Lan Yu did not want to dwell on this question. He tightly gripped Yan Qingyi's shoulder and asked anxiously. Yan Qingyi had a troubled expression, I don't know either. If you don't know, then what should we do? I think Tang Jing will be able to turn danger into safety and come back to life, Yan Qingyi said with uncertainty. Even though she had predicted that Tang Jing would be reborn, she did not know the specific method. It's not difficult for a person to come back to life from the dead. Empyrean Fairy finally spoke. Compared to coming back to life from the dead, she was more interested in Yan Qingyi's prophecy. Back then, Qin Shi Huang was also judged to be dead, but he had left behind a sliver of life. As long as an opportunity presented itself, he would naturally come back to life. She believed that Tang Jing was the same. He would definitely leave himself a chance to live and use it to deceive the enemy. Hearing Empyrean Fairy's words, the others felt a lot more confident. After all, Empyrean Fairy was the person with the highest cultivation here. Then we must find little Zhang's body. Lan Yu made a prompt decision. Since her son had the chance to be reborn, she did not want her son to lose his arms and legs. Just then, Yan Padian received a call, his expression changed slightly, and said, I just received a piece of news. It is said that tonight, at the peak of the Forbidden City, they will bring Tang Jing there. The peak of the Forbidden City. Imperial City. Lan Yu asked in surprise, why did they bring little Jing there? Yan Padian shook his head, I don't know, but the other party must be plotting something by releasing this news with such fanfare. Maybe it's to lure us there. This is a conspiracy. Empyrean Fairy said. So what if it's a conspiracy? In order to save little Jing, even if it's a dragon's lair or a tiger's den, I still have to take a look. Lan Yu said resolutely. Mistress, I'll go with you. Wu Dang still did not give in and stood out. I'll go too. I'll go too. The others volunteered themselves, their tones resolute. No, the enemy is plotting something this time. If everyone goes, it might not be a good thing. Moreover, saving someone doesn't require so many people. Lan Yu refused. The strength of these people was uneven. If the enemy really had a scheme and made a move, they might not be able to take care of all of them. Some of them might even be injured, and their lives might even be in danger. Lan Yu naturally wouldn't take this risk. When they heard this, their expressions darkened. Seeing that, Lan Yu eased his tone and explained, "This time, we are going to save little Zhang. There are many unforeseen events, so the fewer people there are, the better." Yan Padian agreed, "That's true, I will personally go and meet these people." Lan Yu said, "Wu, come with me. The rest of you can stay at home." Empyrean Fairy's interest was completely focused on Yan Qingyi. She stared at her with a burning gaze, and said, "Let's stay and talk about the prophecy technique." Yan Padian had a difficult expression on his face. Yan Padian also had some guesses about the identity of the Empyrean Fairy, so he nodded towards his daughter, meaning that he could reveal a little about the prophecy technique. "Then you must save Tang Zhang." Seeing that they did not have the chance to personally go, the others could only repeatedly remind them. Chapter 874. The night was dark and the wind was strong. A light drizzle began to fall in the capital. The summer heat was carried away by the rain and a cool breeze came, making people feel relaxed and happy. The sky was dark, but for this bustling city, the lights illuminated half the sky and dispelled the darkness. One could vaguely see the majestic imperial city in front of them. The capital was gradually falling asleep and the imperial city was not as noisy as it was during the day. It was especially quiet with only the occasional sound of insects. So. A few sounds of breaking through the air came closer and closer. A few figures flew across the sky and jumped over the towering walls of the palace, entering what was once the center of Hua Xiao's power. A few people rushed towards the center of the imperial city, the true forbidden city peak. With a tap of their feet, they soared into the air and landed on the roof. Stepping on the hundreds of years-old blue tiles, they looked down at the row upon row of palaces as if they were searching for something. "How come I don't see any trace of them? They should be here, midnight, at the Forbidden City peak. Could it be that they hid little Zhang to play with us? No, they wouldn't go through so much trouble just to play with us." These people were obviously Lan Yu and the other two. They first searched outside the palace but did not find any traces of the enemy. Then they came to the Forbidden City peak. But the time had come, so why did the enemy not appear? Is Madame Wu in such a hurry?" A clear voice rang out and a person walked out from the darkness. With a tap of their feet, they also landed on the roof. "Li Xiaotian, it's you." Marshall opened her eyes wide and cried out in surprise. "So it's the Holy Maiden of Li Palace." Lan Yu had never seen Li Xiaotian before, but this name was not unfamiliar. His heart trembled as even the Li Palace was involved in this matter. Perhaps it was not just that. The Azure Dragon Hall was the real mastermind behind all this. "It's me. Madame Wu is truly as beautiful as a fairy. No wonder she was able to capture the heart of the previous head of the martial organization and even gave birth to such a powerful son like Tang Zhang." Li Xiaotian said with a smile. "Li Xiaotian, where did you hide my son?" Lan Yu didn't want to talk nonsense with the other party, so he went straight to the point and asked. You want Tang Zhang? There, isn't that him?" Li Xiaotian pointed to a spot not far away. In the darkness, it was indeed Tang Zhang. Little Zhang. Lan Yu was overjoyed and was about to rush over, but was stopped by Li Xiaotian. "Madame Wu, don't worry. I will hand him over to you. If you rush over, I can't guarantee that my companions will do anything to him." With that said, Song Yu appeared behind Tang Zhang. Marshall recognized her at a glance and shouted, "Song Yu, it's you." Yen Padian was also shocked. "You actually didn't die. How dare you come back?" After that battle, the Song family no longer existed. Only Song Yu's whereabouts were unknown. Who would have thought that he would be involved with Li Xiaotian? Song Yu laughed coldly, her sinister face hidden in the darkness of the night, looking even more terrifying. "Yen Padian, you colluded with Tang Zhang and destroyed my Song family. Now that Tang Zhang is dead, the next one will be your Yen family," Song Yu said fiercely. "Arrogant to speak such big words, let's see if you can leave the imperial city today," Yen Padian said. "With him in my hands, how could I not be able to walk out?" Song Yu proudly pushed Tang Zhang, who was in his hands. "He has already been killed by you, what else do you want to do to him?" Seeing that, Lan Yu roared hysterically. Li Xiaotian said, "Madam Wu, don't be anxious, Tang Zhang is already dead, a dead person should be buried in peace, you don't want to see him tortured again, right? Hee, as long as you promise me two things, I can naturally let him rest in peace." "What condition?" Lan Yu opened her eyes wide, her killing intent soaring. "The first condition is to tell me where the rest of the martial sect went." Lan Yu was silent. The rest of the martial sect were hiding on the moving island, this was a secret. If they were to tell the other party, then these people would be in danger. Moreover, there were not only people from the martial sect, but also the witch clan. "You're not going to say it." "Sigh, that's a pity. Tang Zhang has been alone since he was young. I didn't expect that now that he is dead, he won't be able to rest in peace and will be tortured," Li Xiaotian said hypocritically. "You're not allowed to hurt little Zhang." Lan Yu quickly stopped him, "I'll tell you." Lan Yu thought that the island was always moving. Even if she told them, they might not be able to find the island. For the sake of her son, she had no choice but to compromise. "They are on an island in the South Sea, very far from the coastline. That's why you didn't find us." Li Xiaotian suddenly realized, no wonder we couldn't find it even after sending so many people. You guys really have a soft spot for islands. You found another island this time, give me the exact coordinates. Lan Yu had no choice but to say a series of coordinates. Li Xiaotian said while beaming, "I have no way to verify it for the time being, but I believe that for the sake of Mrs. Wu's son, she won't tell me the truth. Then listen to my second condition. As long as you do it, then Tang Zhang will naturally return it to you. Speak. Kill yourself." Li Xiaotian said word by word, "Since you two are mother and son, then it shouldn't be bad to die the same way as your son, right? You." "Li Xiaotian, I will kill you." Wu flew into a rage, and was about to attack Li Xiaotian. Li Xiaotian fearlessly crossed his arms, looked at Wu mischievously, and said, "Come and kill me, let's see if you have the guts." "Marshall, stop." Lan Yu stopped him. "How is it? Have you decided?" Li Xiaotian asked. "If I die, are you really going to let my son go?" "Of course, Tang Zhang is already dead, and is no longer of any use. Letting you mother and son reunite on the road to the Yellow Springs can be considered as helping you too." "Alright, I promise you." Lan Yu agreed. "Mistress, you absolutely can't." Wu hurriedly stopped him. Lan Yu's expression was resolute. "Back then, I didn't protect him well, which was why he was left wandering outside. All these years, he has suffered so much, and I have not fulfilled my responsibility as a mother. This is the only thing I can do for him now." Seeing that mistress had already made up her mind, Wu's tears flowed out. She had never cried as much in her entire life as she did today. She looked at Li Xiaotian with overflowing anger, and secretly swore in her heart, "Li Xiaotian, I will definitely kill you, otherwise, I will not be human." Li Xiaotian's heart skipped a beat when he saw Wu's eyes, but he did not soften his heart and said, "Stop dawdling, there won't be a miracle." Yan Padian looked at this scene, his heart was willing but his strength was insufficient. The enemy was truly too sinister, he never thought that they would use Tangjing to threaten them. This was Lan Yu's Achilles heel, he had no way to dissuade him. He only muttered in his heart that as long as he saved Tangjing later, he would definitely kill these two people to pay tribute to Lan Yu's spirit in heaven. Lan Yu was reluctant to part with it, he looked at Tangjing from afar, raised his hand, and resolutely slapped towards the top of his head. Suddenly, something unexpected happened. A white figure appeared out of nowhere, and as fast as lightning, it slapped Song Yu's body with its claw. Bang! A huge force caused Song Yu to fly far away, and he had no choice but to let go of Tangjing. "Who is it?" Seeing that, Li Xiaotian turned pale with fright, she jumped down from the roof and rushed towards Tangjing. She understood that without Tangjing, she would not be able to threaten Lan Yu. Boom! A ball of flames soared into the air, blocking Li Xiaotian's path. She finally saw the small figure behind the flames clearly. Xiao Bai. She regretted it so much. So it was this little fellow who had ruined her plans. After Xiao Bai's interruption, she had no way of getting close to Tangjing, because Lan Yu had already rushed over crazily. She could only dodge in a hurry. Tangjing fell limply to the ground. Xiao Bai pried open his mouth and stuffed a pill into it. The pill melted as soon as it entered his mouth. Suddenly, Tangjing opened his eyes and took a deep breath. A terrifying light burst out from his eyes. Resurrection from the dead. No. Actually, he did not die. The war soul sword had pierced through his heart, causing him to enter a state of suspended animation. However, it left him with a chance of survival. If there was no external interference, he would definitely die if this state continued for too long. Therefore, at the last critical moment, he placed all his hopes on Xiao Bai. He gave Xiao Bai a 9 transformations soul return pill and told it to find an opportunity to feed him. The powerful medicinal properties of the 9 transformations soul return pill could allow his injuries to quickly recover, thus achieving the effect of resurrection. This was all arranged by him, but it was extremely risky. The scene that Yan Qingyi saw was that he suddenly opened his eyes, and mistakenly thought that he had been reborn. In fact, he did not truly die, so how could he be reborn? Tangjing was not an idiot. He was very clear that if he really died, it would cause his enemies to be happy. Therefore, he left a backup plan for himself. Taking advantage of the fact that Nicholas was not paying attention, he summoned Xiao Bai from the Sumra world before he committed suicide. Xiao Bai was as fast as lightning, deceiving the heavens and escaping Nicholas's eyes. Even in his dreams, Nicholas would never have thought that so many things would happen right under his nose. Seeing Tangjing standing up safe and sound, Li Xiaotian screamed as if he had seen a ghost, and shouted in disbelief, "How are you not dead?" Previously, she had checked Tangjing. Indeed, he did not have any breathing or heartbeat, and was even lifeless. However, she did not know that Tangjing could absorb a little yin qi on his body and make himself look more lifeless than a dead person. How could she tell clearly? Although Lan Yu, Wu, and Yan Padian knew that Tangjing would come back to life, they did not expect him to come back to life so quickly. They were extremely happy. Lan Yu covered his mouth in disbelief. "You're finally alive, my son is finally alive." Tangjing had previously been in a state of suspended animation, so his hearing was still intact. Therefore, he had clearly heard Lan Yu's words just now. She was actually willing to sacrifice her life for him. This caused him to have mixed feelings. Looking at her excited appearance from afar, his eyes also became gentle. No matter what mistakes she had made back then, she had been living in regret all these years. This kind of torment and torture was already something that no one could endure. Now that she knew of his existence, she had been trying her best to make up for it. This sincere motherly love was undeniable. Chapter 875. Li Xiaotian was startled by Tang Zheng's gaze. She subconsciously avoided his gaze and said, Li Xiaotian, last time when we parted ways with the island nation, I let you go. Now you come to deal with me, and you even use such a despicable method. Do you really think I won't kill you? Tang Zheng asked with an ashen face. Li Xiaotian smiled charmingly and said, Don't be so angry. We haven't seen each other in a long time. It's good to sit down and reminisce. Who's reminiscing with you? Marshall took the initiative to berate Tang Zheng. Just now she forced Master's wife to commit suicide. Her intentions are vicious and extremely hateful. We absolutely cannot let her go. Li Xiaotian smiled bitterly. Marshall, don't be so angry. I was just joking. I'm not joking with you. Tang Zheng walked towards the other party step by step. Li Xiaotian panicked and subconsciously retreated. She knew very well that with her cultivation, she was not a match for Tang Zheng. Moreover, the other party was not alone. If they fought, she would definitely be at a disadvantage. Tang Zheng stretched out his hand and used the swallowing the heavens technique. A huge suction force appeared in his palm. Li Xiaotian felt that she could not help but approach Tang Zheng. She was shocked and shouted. An iron bow appeared in her hand. The shooting sun arrow was placed on the iron bow and aimed at Tang Zheng. You found the shooting sun arrow again. Tang Zheng said in surprise. Back then, when he was fighting with the island nation's imperial preceptor, Li Xiaotian lost the shooting sun arrow. He did not expect her to find it again. Li Xiaotian chuckled, this kind of divine weapon, of course I won't really lose it. I spent a lot of effort to find it back. You are so sinister and cunning, you don't deserve to have the shooting sun arrow. Tang Zheng roared, crazily urging his power. The suction force suddenly increased. Li Xiaotian's expression suddenly changed, and she pulled the bowstring. Whoosh! The shooting sun arrow turned into a ray of light and shot towards Tang Zheng. Although it did not have the power of the heaven-shocking bow and was just a normal bow, it still made the shooting sun arrow extremely powerful. Instead of retreating, Tang Zheng moved forward, facing the shooting sun arrow's violent aura. The suction force from his palm completely neutralized the shooting sun arrow's terrifying attack. He closed his fingers and grabbed the shooting sun arrow. My shooting sun arrows are just short of this one. Let me return it to its rightful owner. Li Xiaotian was shocked when he saw this. He curled his finger and the shooting sun arrow's attack came to an abrupt halt. It actually turned around and flew back. How could Tang Zheng let her have her way? He increased his power and the shooting sun arrow immediately stopped. Tang Zheng grabbed the tail of the arrow. Ding! With a clear sound, the extremely hard-to-find thread at the end of the shooting sun arrow was cut off, and the shooting sun arrow completely fell into Tang Zheng's palm. Give it back! Li Xiaotian cried out involuntarily, but to no avail. So. He shot an arrow, but it was replaced by an ordinary arrow, which was easily blocked by Tang Zheng. Seeing that Tang Zheng was attacking again, Li Xiaotian quickly retreated, but his retreating momentum became slower and slower. The two of them, one advancing and one retreating, had already rushed into the palace. The others also hurriedly chased after them. No one noticed a pair of vicious eyes in the darkness, like that of a snake or scorpion. Tang Zheng, you can actually come back from the dead. This time, you've seen me, so I definitely won't let you escape again. And the Holy Maiden of Li Palace, you dare to look down on me, and even come to Sword Pavilion to ruin my plans. How can I let you succeed? All of you will die. Song Yu gnashed his teeth. His face was bruised and swollen, and there was still blood at the corner of his mouth. he revealed a sinister smile. Everyone's attention was attracted by Tang Zheng and Li Xiaotian, so they didn't notice that Song Yu had been slapped into the darkness by Xiao Bai's claw. Suddenly, a remote control appeared in his hand. Without hesitation, he pressed it. Boom! There was a deafening sound, and the earth trembled. A ball of fire soared into the sky, and a powerful shockwave rushed in all directions. A magnificent palace was turned into ruins, and only a raging fire was left. Ha ha ha! Song Yu's crazy laughter resounded throughout the imperial city, only to hear him venting out his hatred as he roared loudly, Tang Jing, you are finally dead. What bullshit, Cultivator, under the might of modern technology, isn't there only death waiting for you? It turned out that he had already buried explosives in the imperial city in a frenzy, and even Li Xiaotian didn't know about it. His original purpose was not to deal with Tang Jing, but to deal with the people who came to save Tang Jing. Of course, that included Li Xiaotian. Li Xiaotian was sent to the Sword Pavilion to monitor his every move. How could he sit back and do nothing? However, he couldn't kill her openly, so he could only shift the blame to others. As long as Li Xiaotian died this time, the Lord would not suspect him of doing it. He would only blame it on the enemy. Killing two birds with one stone. Why not? Li Xiaotian's plan was flawless. He probably never dreamed that he would be schemed against by Song Yu, who he had always looked down on. Looking at the raging fire, he was complacent. These people must have been blown into several large pieces. How could they still be alive? Humph, Tang Jing, don't you have many tricks up your sleeve? You can even bring the dead back to life. Let's see how you'll survive this time. There was no more movement in the fire, but the capital was awakened by the explosion. This was the most important place in the capital, where the core of power was located. An explosion had actually occurred. Moreover, it was in the imperial city. The impact was too great. Only the sound of sirens could be heard in the dark night. People and cars rushed over from all directions. Without a doubt, the officials would be thoroughly enraged by this matter. Song Yu's lips curled into a cold smile. This is what it means to make a big move. I'll let you all see what I, Song Yu, am capable of. Of course, what he did could not be made known to the public. Otherwise, not only would he be hunted down by the Azure Dragon Palace, even the government would not let him go. Then, he would have no place in this world. He was about to escape when suddenly, an earth-shattering roar came from the sea of flames in the palace. Pang! Song Yu sat down on the floor with a terrified expression on her face. She cried out in panic, "What is that sound?" Just as he finished speaking, the continuous roar became even louder. The sound shook the sky. The sound waves spread out in all directions with the fire as the center point. The raging fire was extinguished in an instant. Yes. It was extinguished. The fire was extinguished in front of Song Yu's eyes. This was more immediate than any fire extinguisher in the world. Especially the anger and majesty contained in the sound. It made his heart beat like a drum and he almost couldn't breathe. This seems to be the legendary dragon's roar. He muttered to himself. However, he felt that this was too inconceivable. It was simply impossible. Dragons were things of legend. Perhaps they were simply made up and did not exist in this world. His mind was in a mess. He sat on the floor and was unable to calm down for a long time. This was indeed a dragon's roar. The dragon's roar of a five-clawed golden dragon. Just now, Tang Zheng and Li Xiaotian were fighting fiercely. Just as Li Xiaotian was about to be captured, suddenly, an explosion rang out. Tang Zheng shouted loudly, but it was already too late for him to escape. Moreover, there were so many people here, even if he escaped, what about the others? However, at the critical moment, he did not completely panic. He suddenly remembered that under the palace, wasn't it the place where the five-clawed golden dragon was imprisoned? That place was probably the safest place to avoid this explosion. In fact, this thought had been thought of in a flash, so his movements were extremely fast. Before the power of the explosion had completely affected them, he had activated the array formation of the palace. In the blink of an eye, they had moved from the palace to the long passageway below the imperial city. Then, an even more intense explosion sounded. Fine dust fell from the top of his head, and even the soles of his feet shook a few times. However, he managed to stabilize himself in the end. Only then did the others react. They opened their eyes wide and looked around. The space here was not big. It was a long passageway, and the light was very dim. "Where are we?" Lan Yu was the first to ask. "Below the imperial city." Tang Jing replied. "So there's such a place under the imperial city. I've lived in the capital for more than half my life, how come I didn't know?" Yen Padian said in surprise. Tang Jing laughed. Other than the emperor and the person who had secretly trapped the five-clawed golden dragon, the others had probably been silenced at that time. As for the emperor and that person with remarkable abilities, they were no longer in this world, so naturally, no one would know. The top of our heads is intact. How did we get down?" Lan Yu was the first to discover a flaw, and asked curiously as he looked at the stone slab above his head. The others also raised their heads to look. Their heads were indeed safe and sound, and were not affected by the shockwave of the explosion at all. The key was that there was no other way out, so why did they come to the imperial city from the top of the palace in an instant? Tang Jing did not hide anything, and said, "There is a formation here, I activated the formation, so we came down." "So you already knew about this place?" Yen Padian was speechless. He was a native of the capital, but he did not know as much as a foreign monk like Tang Jing. Tang Jing did not hide anything, and nodded. "Yes, I knew about it a long time ago, but this place is extremely secretive, and involves many confidential matters, so I did not announce it to the public." "What secret?" Yen Padian asked curiously. Before Tang Jing could answer, Wu spoke first. "Why is there an explosion?" Tang Jing's expression turned cold, and said, "It must be Li Xiaotian, that sinister and cunning woman. No, she wouldn't be so stupid as to blow herself up as well." Lan Yu shook his head in denial. "Song Yu!" Tang Jing and Yen Padian shouted at the same time. The two of them looked at each other and had a new understanding of this young master Song. He was truly too vicious and merciless. Even his accomplice, Li Xiaotian, was not spared. He had created such a huge explosion in the capital. Who knew how big of a storm this explosion would cause? Roar! Suddenly, a dragon's roar rang out, interrupting their thoughts. Their minds were completely filled with this sound. Being so close to the five-clawed golden dragon, the power of this dragon's roar was many times greater than outside. Everyone's expressions changed greatly, especially Marshall, whose cultivation was the weakest. He actually had the urge to kneel on the ground, and his face turned incomparably pale. "What's that sound?" Yen Padian and Lan Yu suppressed their palpitations and asked at the same time. Tang Jing shouted that something was wrong. He looked around and cried out, "Where's Li Xiaotian?" Chapter 876. Everyone seemed to have woken up from a dream and finally reacted. Wu said with a pale face, "I remember that she came down with us just now." Tang Jing also knew this. Previously, in a moment of desperation, he had activated the formation and moved everyone into the tunnel, including Li Xiaotian. It was just that just now, everyone's attention was on the tunnel, so they did not pay attention to Li Xiaotian. Unexpectedly, in the blink of an eye, this cunning woman had disappeared without a trace. Could it be that she escaped? Lan Yu asked anxiously. "No way." Tang Jing firmly shook his head. Li Xiaotian was not a cultivator, so he had no way of opening this formation. Of course, it was impossible for him to escape. He suddenly thought of the dragon's roar just now and shouted that it was not good. This woman must have escaped along the tunnel, but she did not expect to escape to the place where the five-clawed golden dragon was imprisoned. Perhaps the odds were against her. However, when Tang Jing recalled that dragon's roar, he felt a lot of unease in his heart, as if the sound had traveled along the stone slab to the outside world. In the past, because of the imprisonment of the array formation, no matter how big of a commotion the five-clawed golden dragon made, it would definitely not be transmitted to the outside world. Of course, it was impossible for the sounds outside to reach this place, but the sound of the explosion just now had clearly been transmitted in. Therefore, Tang Jing felt a little uneasy. If the sounds from the outside could be transmitted in, then could it be that the dragon's roar just now could also be transmitted out? Then this matter would really be blown up. Dragons were existences in myths and legends. If the authorities or other powers knew of the existence of the five-clawed golden dragon, they would probably think of ways to come here. Perhaps they would use it for research, or perhaps they would release it. No matter what, Tang Jing did not want to see that scene. As for the ordinary people, they would panic and feel fear because of this dragon's roar. If this dragon's roar were to spread out, it would definitely not be a good thing for this world. Damned explosion, damned Songyu, to actually cause such a serious chain reaction. Tang Jing gnashed his teeth in hatred. What's going on? What was that roar just now? Yan Padian asked curiously. At this point, Tang Jing was not going to hide it from them. Moreover, Li Xiaotian had fled to the five-clawed golden dragon, so he had to make a trip there. Let me tell you something. Don't be scared. Tang Jing softened his tone and tried to speak as calmly as possible. Yan Padian laughed and said, I have lived for more than half of my life, what have I not seen before? I don't think there is anything that can scare me. Yan Padian was full of confidence, and the other two were about the same. They looked at Tang Jing with burning eyes, waiting for him to reveal the answer. Tang Jing smiled mysteriously and said, that might not be the case. In any case, you should be mentally prepared. Tang Jing didn't say it out loud. This was too miraculous, and it was better to see it with his own eyes. Tang Jing led them through the long passageway. The three of them looked at each other, not knowing what Tang Jing was up to. Unknowingly, a wave of pressure gradually assaulted their hearts. This feeling was very similar to the feeling that the roar from before gave them. The expressions of the three of them became solemn as they craned their necks to look ahead. Suddenly, a ray of golden light entered their eyes. The three of them turned pale with fright. They didn't know what this golden light was, but there was a kind of aura that made their hearts palpitate and even made them feel fear. With their current cultivation, an aura that was enough to make them feel fear was extremely rare. What was inside? Could it be related to that roar just now? The answer was soon revealed. When they reached the end of the tunnel, the golden light had already covered their bodies. They almost held their breaths, as if a huge boulder was pressing down on their hearts. As they stepped in, they were completely bathed in the golden light. When they looked up, awe! 3 long cries of surprise rang out at the same time. They were dumbstruck, and their eyeballs seemed to be about to pop out as they stared straight at the huge monster. The 5-clawed golden dragon moved. Its coiling body moved, and its huge dragon head bent down. Whoosh! A dragon's breath was spat out from its mouth. It was like a gust of wind blowing on their bodies, causing their hearts to almost jump out of their throats. Dragon! A living true dragon. This was the only thought that echoed in their hearts for a long time. The rest of the thoughts were thrown out of their minds. Their minds were blank. For a moment, they were stunned like puppets. Who are they? The 5-clawed golden dragon was the first to break the silence. A dragon can speak. The three of them felt as if a clap of thunder rang out in their heads, causing them to feel dizzy. Tang Jing walked over, and Xiao Bai jumped down from his shoulder with a whoosh, and jumped onto the five-clawed golden dragon's body without any trace of politeness. The three of them saw this and their hearts tightened. This was a dragon, why was Xiao Bai not afraid? And so rude. Little Jing, be careful. Lan Yu did not know where her courage came from, but she actually stood in front of Tang Jing without a care for her own safety. Although her heart was filled with fear, out of her mother's nature and instincts, she still did not turn back and did not take half a step back. Don't worry, it won't hurt me. Tang Jing patted Lan Yu's shoulder, walked past her, and looked up at the five-clawed golden dragon. They are all my friends, don't scare them. Tang Zheng's tone was very calm, without the slightest bit of fear, causing the others' hearts to pound. You dare to speak to a dragon like this, are you really not afraid? Friends. Why did you suddenly bring so many people today? Moreover, they are so weak. The five-clawed golden dragon curled its lips and said with contempt. So weak. The few of them wanted to cry but had no tears. If anyone else said such words, they would definitely be reprimanded for boasting shamelessly. However, when it came from the five-clawed golden dragon's mouth, they did not have any thoughts of resisting. Although they did not know the exact strength of the five-clawed golden dragon, in front of it, they really felt that they were insignificant and weak. Only now did they understand the meaning of Tang Zheng's words, telling them not to be scared. They thought that these words were making a big fuss out of nothing, how could they be scared? Now that they saw the five-clawed golden dragon, they had to admit that they were really scared. That roar just now was definitely the dragon's roar. Dragon's roar. They were actually lucky enough to hear this kind of sound that only existed in legends. Although Tang Zheng's words were conclusive, telling them not to be afraid, their hearts were still in a mess, and they could not hide their panicked expressions. The five-clawed golden dragon ignored their thoughts and continued to say, "What's the use of so many weak people coming? In the future, you'd better make some strong friends." The three of them laughed bitterly. They were deeply despised, but they were powerless to refute. You don't have to worry about me making friends. Tang Zheng said indifferently. Hearing Tang Zheng's words, their breathing became rapid again. Please, when you talk to a dragon, you should soften your tone. Otherwise, it will be terrible if it gets angry. But looking at Tang Zheng's fearless appearance, they felt that their worries were unnecessary. They were afraid that Tang Zheng had already met with the five-clawed golden dragon countless times. As for the relationship between them, they could not figure it out even if they racked their brains. Was there a woman who broke in just now? Tang Zheng asked. Oh, yes, is she also your friend? The five-clawed golden dragon asked. No. That's good, I was just about to eat her. The five-clawed golden dragon moved its body, revealing Li Xiaotian's figure. She was twisted between the dragon's body, already sluggish, as if she was scared silly, with her mouth wide open and eyes wide. No matter how powerful and smart she was, when she saw a creature like a dragon, she still reacted like an ordinary person. When she heard that the five-clawed golden dragon was going to eat her, she was so scared that her whole body trembled. Finally, as if waking up from a dream, she reacted and shouted, don't eat me, Tang Jing, save me. Tears burst out of her eyes, a pear blossom bathed in rain, delicate and pitiful. How could Tang Jing be deceived by her pitiful appearance? She was a two-faced woman with a poisonous heart. To be kind to her was to be cruel to oneself. Tang Jing coldly snorted and said, Li Xiaotian, you have repeatedly gone against me. If it weren't for the fact that we had gone through life and death together, I would have killed you long ago. But this time, you didn't repent and came to kill me, and even attacked the people around me. Do you think I will let you go? Li Xiaotian shook her head like a rattledrum and explained, No, this time it wasn't me who wanted to deal with you. This was all Song Yu's idea. It was his rotten idea in front of the Lord. He said that if he wanted to deal with you, he would first deal with the people around you. They are your fatal weakness. I was only sent by the Lord to assist him. Tang Zheng mockingly sneered and said, "Do you think I will still believe you? I don't expect you to believe me, but everything I said is the truth." Li Xiaotian seemed to have grabbed onto a life-saving straw, refusing to let go, and explained pitifully. "You are the holy maiden of the Li Palace, but who is Song Yu? The Azure Dragon Hall Lord valued him, but not you, and even let you only assist him. How is that possible? I think this time it is you who is in charge, and he is the support." Tang Zheng was not an idiot, and hit the nail on the head. "No, you are wrong. Song Yu is not the same as before. You know, before the sword god died, he passed Sword Pavilion to him, so he is now the master of Sword Pavilion. His position is equal to our Li Palace's palace master. Although I am the holy maiden of the Li Palace, how could I dare to compete with him?" Li Xiaotian said half-truthfully. It was true that Song Yu was the master of Sword Pavilion in name, but he was restricted everywhere. Moreover, his cultivation was not good, so how could he be compared to Granny Li? Tang Zheng looked at her curiously. This was something he did not know. He could not help but ask, "You said that Song Yu became the master of Sword Pavilion?" He still remembered the Sword Pavilion he had met in the northeast. Besides the sword god, those sword slaves were also very good. Moreover, they were all obedient, like death warriors. If he had these sword slaves following him, his strength would definitely not be weak. Chapter 877. Tang Zheng had to admit that Li Xiaotian had a glib tongue and was very provocative and bewitching. But thinking of her various actions, Tang Zheng suppressed that trace of kindness and said with a murderous look, "You have a glib tongue, but I won't let you go even if you break the heavens." Li Xiaotian was very clear that she was on the chopping block and her life was in Tang Zheng's hands, so she hurriedly said, "Tang Zheng, listen to me. If you kill me, it won't do you any good. Instead, it will let Song Yu's scheme succeed. I have my own ways to deal with Song Yu. You don't need to worry. But if the Venerable Lord is deceived by Song Yu and thinks that you are the one who harmed me, then Song Yu's scheme will succeed and she will truly control Sword Pavilion. There will be endless troubles in the future." Tang Zheng snorted and said disdainfully, "The sword god is many times more powerful than Song Yu. When he was in charge of Sword Pavilion, I wasn't afraid, so why would I be afraid of Song Yu?" Seeing that her every suggestion was refuted, Li Xiaotian was anxious and angry. How can a person of great ambition be so impulsive? "You should weigh the pros and cons," Tang Zheng sneered. "As you said, I weighed the pros and cons and felt that killing you is more useful than keeping you alive." Li Xiaotian hurriedly shook her head. No, it's useless to kill me. A dead person is useless. Only by enduring and living can you make the best use of everything. Is an element of, Tang Zheng sneered, "Li Xiaotian, if you knew this would happen, then why did you do it in the first place? I advise you not to waste your saliva and cherish the last moments of your life." Tang Zheng was determined this time. Li Xiaotian was as vicious and merciless as a snake. The most important thing was that she already knew about the existence of the five-clawed golden dragon. If what she said was true, she would go back and expose Song Yu's true face. Then, the Great Lord would naturally know about the existence of the five-clawed golden dragon, which was not a good thing. Li Xiaotian stubbornly widened his eyes. Moving his lips, he still said unwillingly, "Don't you really want to know about the Azure Dragon Palace? I can tell you all about it. Know yourself and know your enemy, and you will never be defeated. This is the best strategy." "How do I know if you're telling the truth?" Tang Zheng teased. "I swear that everything I said is true. There is not a single word of falsehood," Li Xiaotian promised. Tang Zheng firmly shook his head. There's no need for you to ask. I have my own ways to find out. Of course, he wouldn't let Li Xiaotian die so easily. He had to squeeze out all of her value. Among them, the most important thing was obviously the secret of the Azure Dragon Palace. She definitely knew a lot of secrets in this area, so he definitely couldn't let her commit suicide like Jianshi-san. Li Xiaotian was truly in despair. Tang Zheng was stubborn. Even if she had a glib tongue, she wouldn't be able to shake Tang Zheng's heart. Five-clawed golden dragon, let her go. The five-clawed golden dragon said unhappily, she's my snack. I'm just borrowing her for a while. I'll return her to you in a while. Only then did the five-clawed golden dragon turn from worry to joy. Then don't break my snack. When the others heard this, their expressions changed. Looking at the five-clawed golden dragon's mouth, their hearts turned cold. A single person wasn't enough to fill the gaps between its teeth. Marshall said, she brought this upon herself. Just now, she even wanted to harm you, mistress. Yen Padian and Lan Yu had yet to recover from their shock. They were thinking even more. Since even the legendary true dragon had appeared, the impact on their worldview could be imagined. Especially looking at the conversation between Tang Zheng and the five-clawed golden dragon, it was as if they were on equal footing. This kind of relationship was too subtle and puzzling. What exactly was it about Tang Zheng that the five-clawed golden dragon thought so highly of him? In addition, the most important thing was, why was there a dragon under the imperial city? However, they were unable to ask this question for the time being. They only subconsciously stared at the five-clawed golden dragon, wanting to see every detail of it with fear and curiosity. The five-clawed golden dragon let go of Li Xiaotian, and Li Xiaotian leaped, wanting to fly over everyone's heads. Tang Jing did not move, but heard the five-clawed golden dragon snort angrily, "How can my snack run away?" Whiz! With a sweep of the dragon's tail, Li Xiaotian used all of his abilities to dodge, but he was still swept away. Like a fallen leaf in autumn, he lightly fell to the ground. Tang Jing grabbed with his big hand, and Li Xiaotian was sucked in front of him by the heaven-swallowing technique. His big hand directly pressed down on her head. At the same time, he used the body-securing technique, making her unable to move or even commit suicide. With Jianshi-san as an example, and the people of the Azure Dragon Palace all facing death with equanimity, he did not want her to have the chance to commit suicide. Tang Jing did not hesitate to use the soul-searching technique. Li Xiaotian screamed miserably, and his eyes became sluggish. One scene after another, one message after another flew into Tang Zhang's mind. He opened his eyes wide in surprise. Li Xiaotian really knew a lot of secrets, and many of the problems that had been troubling him in the past were immediately solved. In addition, he also realized that Li Xiaotian's previous words were half true and half false. This time, she was the one in charge of this matter, not Song Yu. Song Yu was only pushed to the front. Humph. As expected, none of her words were true. If he really listened to her, it would lead to a disaster. After a while, Tang Jing loosened his grip, and Li Xiaotian's screams came to an abrupt end. His eyes closed, and he fell limply to the ground. What happened to her? The others asked. She just fainted. Tang Jing clapped his hands. The information he had gathered was too complicated, and he still needed to calm down and organize it. Of course, now was not the time. Tang Zheng looked at Li Xiaotian expressionlessly and said to the five-clawed golden dragon, "I'll leave her to you." "You used the soul-searching technique on her?" the five-clawed golden dragon asked. Tang Jing nodded. "Why didn't you say so earlier? Now that she's turned into a fool, what's the point of eating it?" "I don't want it." The five-clawed golden dragon twisted his neck. He actually didn't like the snack. Tang Jing was stunned for a moment and said, "You don't want it?" "Yes." "Then just kill her." Tang Zheng said casually. Don't kill her here and pollute my place. Too many rules. Tang Zheng rolled his eyes in dissatisfaction, then I'll take her out. Tang Zheng patted her cheeks a few times, but she didn't wake up. Tang Zheng frowned, but now that she had turned into a fool and was no longer a threat, he didn't take it to heart. He simply put her into Sumra world and killed her when he got out. Seeing Li Xiaotian disappear in front of everyone's eyes, no one was surprised. After all, the five-clawed golden dragon was in front of them. What exactly happened outside? There was such a big movement just now, and even the array formation here was shaken. The five-clawed golden dragon asked. Tang Zheng's heart moved. There was an explosion. Was the array formation affected? The five-clawed golden dragon didn't answer in a hurry, but closed his eyes. After a while, his eyes widened in surprise. The array formation was not only shaken, but there was also a crack. The palace above is a part of the array formation. Now that the palace is destroyed, the array formation is not 100% complete. Tang Zheng's eyelids twitched. He didn't expect that an explosion would cause such a big change. He quickly asked, then can you go out? The five-clawed golden dragon's expression darkened and said, how could it be that easy? There is only a crack in the array formation. This is a very small flaw. If I want to escape, I must completely break this array formation. Tang Zheng secretly heaved a sigh of relief. As long as the five-clawed golden dragon did not escape for the time being, then everything would be fine. However, when he thought of the dragon's roar, he hurriedly asked, your dragon's roar just now seems to have spread outside. The five-clawed golden dragon nodded, that's true. After all, there are flaws in the array formation, so it can't be perfect. As long as the sound is loud enough, it can naturally be transmitted out. What if it attracts other people? If others know of your existence, won't they do everything they can to break through the soil layer above and reach here? Tang Zheng asked worriedly. The five-clawed golden dragon spat out a mouthful of dragon breath and scoffed, if it was really that easy, then wouldn't I have escaped long ago? How could a layer of soil stop me? Oh, then what exactly is going on? Although this is under the imperial city, it is impossible to reach here just by breaking through the soil layer above. This is because this is an imaginary space. Although it is dependent on the imperial city, it is impossible to reach here without relying on the array formation. The five-clawed golden dragon spoke tirelessly, causing the stone hanging in Tang Zheng's hand to gradually fall to the ground. He thought of Shumi Tianxia. Perhaps this was a small space similar to Shumi Tianxia. In this way, even if they heard the dragon's roar, it would be impossible for others to reach here and release the five-clawed golden dragon. However, there is another advantage to this matter, and that is that there are flaws in the array formation. Perhaps in the future, you won't have to wait until you reach the soul formation stage to be able to break the array formation and help me escape. The five-clawed golden dragon rolled his eyes and said happily. Then how high of a cultivation level do I have to reach? I don't know. I'll only know after I try. Anyway, your current cultivation level is not enough. Let's wait until you reach the yuanying stage. Tang Zheng nodded his head hesitantly. Seeing that the others were staring at him with curiosity, he pondered for a moment and did not hide anything. In front of the five-clawed golden dragon, he roughly explained everything that had happened. Only now did they understand that the five-clawed golden dragon was trapped here and had to rely on Tang Zheng to escape. No wonder the difference in strength between the two sides was so great, yet they could sit on equal footing. Of course, Tang Zheng did not say that he was a Skywalker. This was one of his biggest secrets. The three of you, the existence of the five-clawed golden dragon is the greatest secret. You must not spread it out, understand? Tang Zheng's expression darkened as he warned. You can't even tell the people closest to you. Yen Padian nodded his head without hesitation. To be able to see the legendary dragon in his lifetime, that would be his greatest fortune. Moreover, he also understood the severity of the matter. This kind of news absolutely could not be leaked out. Of course, Lan Yu and Wu had no objections. Taking advantage of the chaos above, we should leave first. Otherwise, when the officials arrive, it won't be easy for us to leave even if we want to. Tang Jing said. The others nodded in agreement. They reluctantly looked at the five-clawed golden dragon, as if they wanted to firmly engrave its appearance in their minds. Tang Jing activated the formation, and the three of them felt the scene in front of them change. In the blink of an eye, the five-clawed golden dragon disappeared, and they stood on top of a pile of ruins. Shwa shwa shwa.